Sounds nice. Never thought I'd hear myself say that.
I'm gonna check the bottom.
Yep.
Two, three, four, 8, 2, 3.
40.
Like I said, 30, what did I say, 30?
Yeah,
46.
okay.
We're gonna flip 5 and 6.
Yeah, I saw it. That's a good idea.
I don't think there's gonna be a shit ton of people here for that anyway, but. There's no sense, I don't know about these teal people.
I did let her know last time that we were gonna do it on this agenda, so she knows.
So who is the person?
Shoot, let me go. You know what? I think her last name is Martin, but let me just go double check that. Michelle Collins. Yes. Mhm. Good evening.
Hey.
I'm okay. How about yourself?
Good, thanks.
Mike,
Hello.
how are you?
Hey, how are you? Good, good. What is this? Oh, man, what is this, comedy night?
Good time at the Apollo.
That was fun.
Was Showtime at the Apollo? That was a good
That
show.
was, you know, like this.
They had some good talent on there.
Yes.
And there's Ed.
Somehow afraid is what the cat just dragged in and popped in my mind. I said somehow afraid is what the cat just dragged in and popped in my mind. How are you? Somehow afraid is what the cat just dragged in. Popped into my mind. And how are you, my brother? I know, that's what I figure.
Is it back?
Yeah, cause Tony might come and Barbara. Yes.
What?
Tony might come, he's still on his way back from PA, and, Barbara is at physical therapy. So I said, I'll sit in the back and try and save you a seat. I don't know, think about that. Probably. But I try to do that. I try not to make too many decisions. Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. We go bigger.
That's a dress, I am. I used to do it when I was in school. I just said to her, it's one of those things that, yeah, it's a little bit of a choice, I could have to go back to it 3 times. And do that.
Yeah, because, you know, you're potentially an unattended sometimes, like, coffee, here.
Right.
Here.
Hey, man. Oh, yeah. Magic.
Manager, owner saying. So,
Oh, failure notes, we have failure notes. We have administrative failure notes.
What can you say?
he has a,
Yeah, that's what she told.
like even that, it's in Portugal.
Hey, man, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, not HQ's, but you know, there is no owner.
Right.
The Frank, the manager.
This is pretty interesting.
So, because I can't, but you would have happy to. If you give all over this, we have like a one.
Yes.
Like once it's small, some, they were willing to do. So. And I can see that, if it's, small business person, like. For example, if they're all even, you want, you want, anyone to know within percent. One day, that's. I thought it like. Good luck. Oh, yeah. And, it's hard to say if it's a good list or bad. No. I don't know.
No, she had.
I don't know what this person finds back. How are you?
How are you? I said her part. Mine great.
Yep, this is what we deal with. 20 years.
You had an accident, it's on, something happened. Oh. I'm assuming it's gonna work. I was hoping that.
Well, I'll take it if you're gonna throw it out. But, frankly, I think that's why.
Hey, Steve, how are you? Good. Hey, Doc. Hi, how's it going? Hey, Paul. Hey, Steve. Hi.
Thank you.
Can I grab my, thing?
You don't have to put it on.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to turn it off. Silence on. What's the name of his lawyer? Something good, that's not never doing. It's good. Actually took the rapper a walk away in the park. It's a play with like light balls and so on. I can worry about stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like that's.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So kind.
Thank you. Oh, recycle. Thank you. Make sure, I think it's. Thank you, Erica. Back up.
Did you give me something I was supposed to recycle, Erica?
No, because I don't put yours in an envelope.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't remember having one of those.
You do yours virtual on the, right?
No, I get mine out of my mailbox.
Oh, okay,
Sometimes I do it virtual. It depends.
yeah.
It depends.
Snack. So we're gonna G. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is what I was.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm thinking we got this like feedback.
We know who the attorney is, Erica? Yeah. 31. Presentation. Sorry.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I wish to announce that the 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act was emailed to the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, and the New Coaster on December the 7th of 2023. That a copy has been placed on the bulletin board in the borough office and that a copy has been filed with the municipal clerk. As a courtesy to the public, this meeting may be attended via Zoom. If for any reason the Zoom portion of this meeting fails or is disconnected, the in-person meeting will continue and action can and will be taken, provided that there is an in-person quorum. Mr. Noble?
Here.
Mr. Gubatose?
Here.
Ms. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Weber?
Here.
Mayor Fox?
Here. Welcome to our 16th meeting of the year. I will continue to emphasize that we are going to have disagreements. We welcome disagreements, but our voices should be constructive. We want to brighter Bradley Beach and ask you to join us in that journey. Ask everyone to gauge their tone moving forward. We are all neighbors. Civility and decency should be an underpinning of our discussions. Before we start the formal program, I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge that today is the anniversary of the attacks on our democracy in New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. After 23 years, the pain and grief remains. This bookmark of change has been with us for an extensive period of time. This morning, there was annual meeting at Mount Mitchell at the Highlands, that our county and state officials led by, Commissioner Tom Arnone has had. It's an annual service and recognizes the 147 residents from our county that perished on 9/11. So, what I'd like to do right now is just ask for a moment of silence in memory of those people. Okay, we have thank you. We have a proclamation we'll be doing a little later today. Gonna make a motion to flip the workshop portion of the agenda and presentations and bids number 5 and 6 so that the beach folks, the Attorney Teal folks, and then there's a few other, the congregation can do their presentations and we can then proceed to the 319 Lorraine workshop. So I'll make a motion to just move those two, flip those two agenda items.
Second,
Ms. DeNoble?
yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yeah.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. We'll start with a presentation of our beach operations, and I think we have somebody who's going to represent that. The other beach manager, Sean Heater, unfortunately has a back to school night. He's a administrator of school. So we'll cover him at the next meeting and, we'll cover that then. But I want to introduce Mike Rosenberg, who, for those who don't know, Mike
Maybe
took
we'll put that into there
I
because
can-
that's the only way Zoom is gonna be able to, you get to share it with Zoom.
Can I unplug that and plug this in?
You're gonna disconnect the Zoom.
Okay.
Do you have what do you have, file?
I have a slide, Google slide presentation.
PowerPoint?
Yes,
How about the
Do
other?
you have a UPS drive? Because you can just put it in there.
I mean, I can still speak, I just.
No.
Yeah, but you did all the work.
Have,
Michelle.
Michelle has it. Michelle has it.
Oh, she does. Oh, there's Michelle. Oh, does she? Okay, never mind. She got it. Thank you, Michelle.
So,
Michelle's in the back.
Oh,
Okay. But she can hear us, so be careful.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mike, all you'd have to do is say next and she'll hear you. She's down.
Yeah, she can hear you.
Oh, okay. You want to start it, Michelle?
Maybe you can. Did you hit the right one, Mike?
But hold on. Let me just go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So was it a good summer?
It was a good summer. So I grew up here. There we go. My father was the number 2 with Dick Johnson since 1992. I grew up on the beach. My father was captain of the Cape Ave since before I was born. So I definitely have a direct relationship to the beach. I've been a lifeguard since I was 16, I believe 1998. It was definitely an honor to get to take over the beach. So basically being under Mr. Johnson, there was very few things that I wanted to change for my first year. The one thing that I did feel very strongly about, and it was definitely a change for everyone, was the flag system. When I went down to the beach, you would notice that there was no ropes this year. We had the swimming flags, which were checkered flags, and next please. The advantages to it were that rip currents are unpredictable. And I remember as a beach captain on 4th Ave many times that right in the middle of our bathing grounds, there was just rip currents that were dangerous to the public. And it comes to a point where there's nowhere to put them to stay safe. And what the flags did was it allows us to just move around the rip currents. It's definitely on the Cape Ave, actually, we did it multiple times this summer, and it definitely kept people more safe. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna shrink this.
No problem.
I'll also say that one of the other issues that with the ropes that was a safety concern. When the tides got higher, both the elderly and small children would get caught under the ropes. We would call it a rope-a-dope, but it was definitely something that. We had to be on our toes and many times run down and free the person, which they usually get caught on their neck. And it could turn bad. So,
Like, we had also had a situation last year where a lot of fishing line was hooked up on a rope and
Oh,
it would
absolutely.
rip somebody up.
yes.
It's not a good scene at all.
The ropes themselves were razor sharp, but
Right.
yes, we get fish line all the time on them and. It seemed like the right choice. A guard who has been there longer than my father, I want to say since about 1967. Actually, at the end of the summer, said he came around, so that made me feel good. But definitely something that we want to keep going moving forward. Next, please. So as far as our budget goes, we don't necessarily need the same monetary amount every year. What we did notice was we do have some needs for some upgrades on equipment. Our paddle boards are used many times, especially on those calm days with a west wind. Where you get a little kid that will just go out to sea and have trouble getting back in. We utilize them many times and there's a need to get some, but that's something that, say we buy a couple next year, we don't necessarily need them the year after that. Our storage was also an issue, as you can see in this picture. The sheds shouldn't really be sharing equipment and the quads. There's really about a foot of space to get that in there and, you know, it can lead to some accidents that we want to avoid. I already had started speaking to Public Works and Meredith about, I know we have restrictions, but try to get bigger sheds on the beach to just store the equipment there. And then that frees up the space for the quads. And again, the oars and kayak, all that, those are more equipment that could be done one time and not necessarily every year. Next, please. So one thing that I do want to look into, so in our headquarters, we have a lot of trophies. For anybody that's been around here for many years, we used to pride on our tournament team. And I think there is a direct correlation between having a good tournament team and having good guards. I am lucky enough to still compete in that, and we had our Manasquan tournament in August, and we came in third place. That was actually, for what we had been putting out there, that was a very good showing by our part, and you could just see the younger kids just being hungry and wanting to get out and train, and it just kind of is a chain reaction and just gets everybody just wanting to be a better lifeguard. And that definitely starts with physical fitness and using the equipment. So that's something that I want to look into, possibly having training opportunities after hours, because one thing that happens, you know, you want to have a tournament practice. Weekends are usually the best time to have all the guards, but the conditions or just something usually gets us where we can't do that. I think it's better to maybe bring the guards in before or after hours every once in a while to get that going, and then we don't have to have the distractions. Next, please. So I definitely was proven wrong with the next part. When I was looking at the ways that we could save in the budget, I thought that the Monmouth County Lifeguard Academy was something that we didn't necessarily need to do. I was so wrong with this. First off, these guys and Tim Harmon from Seeger deserves all the credit in the world. This academy trained our guards so well with CPR, first aid, just on the job training. They had boats going, like, can you go to the next one? I'm sorry. Two down. Well, you saw from the pictures, I mean, they were doing drills where they would swim out to boats. They had all the resources. Back one more. That's the next one.
Back one,
Back one,
please.
please.
There you go.
I mean, right here, they're learning how to excavate somebody that gets caught when they're digging holes, which we all know has been a problem. You know, they're doing their drills and everything. One of the hardest jobs or one of the hardest parts of this job is that the majority of our staff is between the ages of 16 and 22. Anybody that knows a teenager, that's a lot of responsibility for being in charge of lives. And the biggest problem throughout the years was convincing these kids that that this is that big of a responsibility. I mean, you have adults sometimes that don't get it. So we're talking 16, 17-year-old kids. You can do the next slide, please. On July 14th, this right here made it all worthwhile. On Newark Ave Beach, we had an individual that went into the water. We did not know that they had recently been in the hospital. And the gentleman just basically took a couple strokes and went limp. One of our guards that went to this academy, who's 16 years old, was right on it. She said she just knew for some reason to watch this gentleman. Her and two other rookies, another 16-year-old and another 17-year-old, along with one of our other guards, brought the person in and performed CPR for about 5 minutes. When I spoke to them after, they basically said that training they knew exactly what to do. I know personally, when I was a 16-year-old rookie, if I was put in that situation, I was not as prepared as they were. And I think that this was definitely worth the money, and I mean, I owe so much to Tim Harmon for that. I mean, it's just that we were honored at this award ceremony for the never off duty. And I mean, these guards have just, you can go through a whole career and never have to do that. It was very nice to have. Last slide, please. And I just want to end with, oh, I'm sorry, I have one more.
Two more.
Sorry, two more. So one other part of my budget, I'm sorry, can you click on the link? This is called the Watchtower reporting form or platform. Basically for USLA, we have to report. Michelle, can you just click on that link there? You have to report basically all incidents.
Click on the green, please.
Alright, well, I'll just explain it. But basically, this gives a comprehensive report that we need not only for USLA, but if you guys want to see where it gives us the data on where our busiest beaches are. The captains go on afterwards and they report incidents and everything. I mean, we can report every time we have to call the police. Any kind of major medical where we transfer the care to an ambulance or anything, and then they can come back another time to request that information. We have it available and we can print out reports from them. So this platform, which is $2,500, is definitely worth it for the advantages it brings.
Mike, how long have we been using that for? A long time or?
So I actually got this for free in August to try out. They gave us a free trial. It took about a week to get the guards to start implementing it fully. So this was incomplete, but I urge you, if you have, I know that you have it, just to take a look, but it gives a great report.
So you want to use it next?
I would like to, yes.
Okay, got it.
Next, please. And obviously, and this was, again, where our guards were honored for that rescue, but I just wanted to just take a moment, because one thing that I was lucky to learn was the collaboration of everyone. I mean, the town officials, the police. I mean, it was great to know that they had our back, because obviously there's times that we need compliance and we won't get it unless we tell them, well, we have to call the police down. So it was great to have Chief Arnold on with our backs, Public Works, the gate guards, and the other chiefs. It was just the collaboration among everyone just made the summer go a lot smoother. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Council, any questions or comments or?
So the guy on July 14th, he had a heart attack?
So I believe he went into cardiac arrest. He had a prior condition, was released from the hospital, I believe the day before.
Right.
He was brought to Jersey Shore, he was put on a ventilator, he did leave alive.
Yeah, he left like, I think the next Tuesday, I think it was,
Right,
like a couple days later.
yes.
No, it's extraordinary.
Oh, absolutely. The success rate on CPR is single digit sometimes, so
Yeah.
that was definitely.
Any other questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you, and usually I do a standing ovation when you guys all leave, but I had a wedding that weekend,
No
so,
problem.
bravo.
I'll email everyone.
Yeah, thank you, but so if they missed me, I was out, so, but thank you again,
Yes.
you guys did great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a great beach season. The change in leadership was pretty transparent. You know, we went from one to the other, and I think Bob was a little bit of a support person during the.
I use him as a
Use him a little bit.
fill-in supervisor at times.
Yes, yeah. You know, if you look at our lifeguards and then our other seasonal support team, they just do a great job. The badge checkers, everybody, as you said, DPW, police, everybody. The good news relative to this season, which was good weather, an attractive beach, and I think good service by everybody, is that we were able to exceed our revenue for the year. So I don't want to get you too excited, because I can see the wheels turn. I could use this. But our seasonal badges, we sell a little over 14,000 of those. We were about at 98% of our projection of what we sold. But we exceeded our daily badge by almost 12%. I'm talking about units, which is significant, because we were worried about kind of the erosion of that over the last few years, but it seems like I think when COVID went here, it started coming down, and it seems like people are now coming back to the beach after, I guess, just travels a little bit of a pain in the neck when you look at airports. I think everybody's traveled out and they're back at the beach. So we had budgeted $1,850,000 in badge sales, and we actually went over 2 million this year. We were at 2,032,000. So that's a surplus of about 184. So that's going to help us with that outfall pipe that we had to fund from the cave, but also it adds to a surplus so we can invest and do some other things. So that's just some more good news. I'm going to cover that with Sean next week, but I thought you might want to hear it too, as with the public. So thank you. Great job. Thanks again. Okay, our second announcement or proclamation is, I'm assuming that, yes, you are it. I could tell by the T-shirt. So we have a proclamation, and for those who haven't been around town, you can see that we've got just a few of those teal kind of stickers. So do you want to talk first, and then I'll just read the proclamation, or?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
great.
Have some notes.
Maybe introduce yourself. And-
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Collins. I've been a resident for here for the last couple of years. We have an annual on Park Place. But ever since I was a kid, my parents had a house in Belmar, a short house, so I've been coming down here since high school. My kids are now in college, but we did surf camp at Avenue Beach with them for years. This is our beach. We just love Bradley Beach. We're hoping to eventually get the house here to be permanent residence, as both of our kids are now in college. One's at Quinnipiac and one is abroad and Prague. Yay. So, anyway, I am an almost 10-year survivor of high-grade serous ovarian cancer. I was diagnosed at age 39, which isn't typical. It's usually diagnosed after age 60. This disease is rare and underfunded. Around 21,000 women will be diagnosed per year, and around 13,000 will pass away. It's a deadly disease. It has a high recurrence rate. And it's pretty much diagnosed late stage. There's really no early stage for ovarian cancer because there's no early screening test. By the time you have symptoms, a lot of the times it's beyond stage 1 or 2. They found that it actually begins in the fallopian tubes. And this is part of the reason why it's so hard to get an early diagnosis or have an early screening test. And when it goes into the fallopian tubes, it then sprinkles onto the ovary, and by then it's open to your whole abdominal cavity, so the disease just spreads very quickly. There's a new recommendation. I like to just educate everybody because ovarian cancer is known as the ugly stepsister to breast cancer, so the more you know. A new recommendation is if you're having like a surgery that involves like your pelvic area or abdominal area, you can have an opportunistic self-injectomy, or you can request that, where the surgeon will take out your fallopian tubes if you're done having children. To prevent ovarian cancer from ever happening. There are some symptoms. Some of the common ones include bloating, early satiety, where you get full quickly when you're eating, pelvic abdominal pain, and bowel and urinary changes. But there could be no symptoms, and a lot of these symptoms are very common, so people get passed off to different doctors and misdiagnosed for many months, sometimes years. It's important to be your own advocate. In about 10 to 15% of cases, there's a genetic link, a mutation, either BRCA or Lynch syndrome. I didn't have any mutations, I've been tested. But it's important to know your family history. If you have relatives who were diagnosed with early breast cancer, early age breast cancer, so like before the age of 50, or any age of ovarian cancer, if that's in your history, you should look into potential BRCA testing. And it should be noted that it could also be passed from your father as well as your mother. People think sometimes your father, they don't think that your father can be carrying the mutation that could be passed to you, but if there's history on your father's side, that's also something to know. I want to thank the mayor for supporting this initiative. Oh, there you go. Came over. I've been participating in the Kaleidoscope of Hope ovarian cancer walk for 8 years. We hold it in Bradley Beach now. It used to be in Avon. That's a separate organization from Turn the Town Steel, but we're all fighting the same mission to just raise awareness and raise money and funds to hopefully get an early screening test. Our walk this year, I'm on the board of Kaleidoscope of Hope, is September 28th at 9 a.m. in Bradley Beach on the boardwalk. And Turn the Town Steel was developed by survivors of ovarian cancer about 20 years ago who wanted to raise awareness nationally for the disease, and we put up steel ribbons for the month of September. It's grown to almost like every state participating. So if you see steel ribbons, it's usually for ovarian cancer in September, except for a month. Lastly, I just want to honor my cousin Christine. She passed away the end of July for this disease. Ironically, it's not related to mine. We have different subtypes, and it's a different type of ovarian cancer that she had. We both had no mutations, but it just shows how deadly this could be and how it's so a lot of misinformation about what it is. A lot of people think you have a pap smear, you go to the doctor, and you're all clear. Pap smears don't detect ovarian cancer, they detect cervical cancer. So be your own advocate. If you have any unusual symptoms, get checked. Don't stop until you get an answer, because a lot of times you're it's known as medical gaslighting for women. They're just told, oh, it's women problems or menopause. No. That's about it.
Great, no, great, appreciate your time. We have a proclamation. Okay, Borough of Bradley Beach proclamation, Turn the Town Teal 2024. Whereas September has been designated as National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and whereas Turn the Town Teal is a national campaign to create awareness of ovarian cancer, and during the month of September, volunteers tied teal ribbons throughout the towns. And let me tell you, they tied them in town. They're all over.
Be my daughter.
Okay. Whereas Turn the Town's Teal was an inspiration of Gail McNeil of Chatham, New Jersey, and goes forward in her name and her honor. And whereas ovarian cancer is called a silent disease because symptoms are often subtle and or vague and often mimic other disorders. And whereas ovarian cancer is the fifth leading cause of cancer death among women, each year more than 20,000 women are diagnosed with the disease, approximately 13,000 die. And whereas if detected in an early stage, the 5-year survival rate for ovarian cancer can be as high as 90 to 95%. However, there is no screening benefit or awareness of symptoms remains imperative and early detection awareness imperative. Whereas the Borough of Bradley Beach will participate in Turn the Town Teal campaign with ribbons adorning parts of Main Street and the boardwalk for the month of September. Now therefore be it resolved, the governing body and Borough of Bradley Beach do hereby support Turn the Town Teal's Turn the Town Teal Awareness Campaign and proclaim September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Dated today is September 11th, 2024. And you said September 28th, Mr. Wall,
Yes.
on the boardwalk in the morning?
Mhm.
Great. Invite everybody to come.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you. I do have one other comment. I was asked to make this comment by one of the residents. For those who knew Julia Rand, she was the chair of our Arts Commission since it was originated. She was diagnosed and treated for ovarian cancer, and she remained in remission for 6.5 years until its return this past November. Julia elected not to go through treatment at that time. Julia was about 84 at the time when she passed. Her doctor gave her 6 months. She stayed with us for 7. Certainly, I recommend that maybe at our next council meeting, we will join this proclamation and just recognize Julia again for all the work she's done in town. Because she was a key part of our community and against somebody who had to deal with this for over 7 years. So just thought I'd mention that. Okay, thank you very much.
I got a picture with you
Okay.
or like a little online thing.
A lot more.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you on the 28th.
Yeah.
Lots of walking. Okay. Our next. We have the congregation Agadath Akim. Is anybody here from the congregation? I don't think so. I think they're partied out from their celebration on Sunday. But I'll read this proclamation. Second. Yep. Whereas the year 2024 marks the 100th anniversary of Agadath Akim Synagogue in the borough of Bradley Beach, and whereas in the late 1800s, a group of Jewish men gathered together to pray. The 5 men called themselves the Sons of Abraham and met in various homes. On September 23rd, 1923, they signed the papers to incorporate as Congregation Agadath Akim. On the same day, they purchased a house on the corner of McCabe and Beach Avenues, 711 Beach Avenue. And whereas in 1924, the congregation purchased a square lot on the corner of McCabe and Central Avenues, and in 1927, they celebrated the completion of a new synagogue in its present location. Through the expansion and renovations, the building eventually included a community center, auditorium, offices, a library, and as you see it today. And whereas synagogue attracted the many Jewish summer residents that came to Bradley Beach every year from Newark, New York, Long Island, and assuring them that they had a place to worship all summer. Many of them are all year residents. The synagogue plays an important part in the lives of both social and religious gatherings. Whereas over the years, the congregation has served the community with events in the park that welcome the entire community, formed a team to face the police department in basketball called the Jews versus Blues, and invited the governing body to various social events. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the borough of Bradley Beach to urge the community to join in recognition and appreciation for the members, past and present, of the congregation Agadath Akim for their commitment and generous contributions to the entire community. So we wish them the best. We go forward. I guess they did have their 100 celebration last Sunday. The place was packed and they had a really good celebration, and it was a great get together. They are trying to fund some improvements in their auditorium and then ultimately in their vestibule. That's probably not the correct term in Hebrew, but they've been great partners in our community. I've always said they're the community within our community. They do great things for us and we certainly value having them as our community members. And for those who don't know it, Rabbi Kelman, who's been here, I want to say for, let's see. I don't have it in front of me, but I think 6 or 7 years now. Rabbi has been, he's moving to Israel. We certainly want to thank him for his leadership. And Rabbi Ari Velch is now the 7th rabbi since 1940, and he'll be taking over. I don't know if Rabbi Kelman has left yet, but his son's going to attend high school in Israel, and he's moving back. So we wish him the best. Okay, the last is something I touched on earlier, which is a proclamation on the remembrance of September 11th. Whereas September 11th, 2001 was etched into America's memory with 19 terrorists, when 19 terrorists attacked us with barbarity unequaled in our history. And whereas while we continue to recover from the loss of innocent lives, the spirit of the United States of America has been revitalized, giving way to expression of patriotism. And whereas we as a community wish to honor the heroic service, actions, and sacrifices of first responders, law enforcement personnel, state and local officials, volunteers, and countless others who aided the innocent victims of those attacked, risking and often sacrificing their own lives. And whereas from the tragedy of September 11th emerged a stronger nation renewed by a spirit of national pride and true love of country. And whereas we honor and cherish the memory of thousands of innocent victims that were lost, and we extend our thoughts and prayers to the victims' families and honor the heroic men and women who risked and sacrificed their lives so others might survive. And now therefore be it resolved on behalf of the governing body of the Borough of Bradley Beach to hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 11, 2024 as September 11th Remembrance Day in the Borough of Bradley Beach, and urge our citizens set aside September 11th as a day to mourn, reflect, and rededicate ourselves to ending terrorism and honor the victims of September 11th by reaffirming our commitment to sustaining our newfound patriotism. Proclaim this day, 11 September 2024. Okay. I think that completes section 6 of our agenda. So we'll now move to back to section 5. And
Okay.
Michelle, if you could go to that presentation. Okay, this should be very quick. I'm just gonna really get us through the presentation portion of this really quick and then we can move towards hopefully some action. Second slide, please. I think you all have a copy of this, but I'll talk to you from here. So I'm gonna just take us very quickly back to 2022 when post-referendum, we had a meeting in December and we looked at 3 options: auction the property, raise the site and subdivide for sale, and redevelop or have a redevelopment plan. We centered it on option 1 and 2, was the majority of the discussion, and we settled in on option 2 initially, which was raise the site, subdivide for sale. Next slide, please. We went through a number of steps like an appraisal, a net valuation survey, dealt with the and continue to deal with the artifacts with the Ocean Grove Camping Association and a vendor who's been working with us on that. And then we so that's basically what we did in early 2023. Next slide, please. Post April, we went through a process of an RFP for demo. We did a lot of reviewing on that. We did a lot of discussion. We did a lot of tabling. And then on October 25th, the council chose to shift to option 1, which I go back to option one, was really auction the site as is. Next slide. So from that time, the shift from the original plan from demo sale option to site auction. We embarked on that. We did run into, and Council President DeNoble mentioned this earlier today, that I didn't mention anything about affordable housing in this first quarter because really from about mid-January to probably the April-May timeframe, we were confronted with some affordable housing issues that tied into the sale of the site, or if we were going to use a portion of this site for affordable housing obligations. But we're past that now, and in June, we developed a final bid package. We distributed it to the public and noticed it in public venues. On July 25th, we had a bid and auction at 2 p.m. on July 25th. And we had approximately 6 people pick up packages, but no bids came in on the property. So the next slide, which is very busy, and that's the reason I made copies for people, is we went out and sought feedback. What happened? Why didn't more people bid? What was the issue? And we went out to about 6 or 7 different entities. We went to an online real estate company that a resident from town is a member of this company and just plugged us into the person who does online auctioning. We went to a couple of real estate agencies. We went to a couple of developers. And we got a mixed set of inputs, but the couple of things that did come through were make it as simple as you can. Some thought that, a lot of them thought the demo, clear the site, get pre-approval of a major subdivision, and make it easy on bidders was the way to go forward. There wasn't 100% consensus by all these folks, but that seemed to be kind of an overriding view that this was complicated. One of the realtors said, one of the developers said, given your start price, given what it takes us to build a place, there's not enough margin in it for us in our company to bid on it. So it was interesting. It was interesting input. So my recommendation, and we need that this is the portion of the workshop, is to go back to option 2, which was to and reissue the demo RFP. The demo RFP that we did last May, June, there really wasn't anything wrong with the demo RFP. We got 3 reputable engineering organizations to bid on it. We met with all of them. We felt like we had a good approach. They could manage it for us. As I said here, Councilman Toasty, interim VA current backup, and I met with those companies personally. We also want to set up this pre-approval of a major subdivision with the land use board and complete that prior to bidding the property in whichever state we bid it. This will broaden the pool of bidders interested. And if we do have a clean site, a lot of the feedback was you really have this opportunity to sell 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to sell a block of 4 for $3.5 million. You might get a different pool of people coming in on this. So do you go next slide? Next slide. So again, this has been a multi-year deal. We acquired this in 2020. We did the analysis in 2021, 2022. The residents spoke. 2023, we took a set of actions, not to the degree I would have liked, and here we are. So we've got 2 resolutions to talk about tonight. One is to approve the RFP for demo, and the second is submit the land use board pre-approval of a major subdivision. I've spoken to the land use board and they are meeting next week. I'm not sure we can get everything done before then, but right now, they've got a pretty open agenda, so I know people are meeting on this to see if we can achieve this between now and then. So, I will now be quiet, let others provide their input. Yep.
Okay, so, I mean, just so everyone appreciates where the council stands at the moment. Apparently, the mayor and his team have done some work and I appreciate it. We are just seeing now the results from the survey of the various professionals, so would have been nice to have a little, advance information before coming to you today and offering our opinions on these results. What I will say, we've consistently, since the mayor mentioned the October 25th meeting of 2023, the council members, myself included, Council President DeNoble in particular, have stressed the need for and repeatedly requested the council to present and request of the land use board a review and ultimately approval of the subdivision and the deed restrictions. I mean, you can go back to minutes after minutes. I've said it repeatedly. There have been email correspondence. In fact, I believe Council President DeNoble has a brief summary she can share with everyone. But first and foremost, as recently as a month or so ago, I actually challenged when we just 2 months ago, when we were going to sell the property at auction. I even then was saying, why aren't we subdividing and deed restricting first? I also, and I'm trying to keep an open mind on this, but I also felt very strongly, I was told by contractors, you, the Borough of Bradley Beach, are crazy to do the demolition yourself. Now, keeping an open mind, I'm sure that, in fact, Council President DeNoble has educated me a little bit just over the past few days of inquiries she's made of other municipalities that have in fact taken on demolition projects on their own. We, the borough, have a spotty track record of working through engineers to manage projects. Yazzie Center roof, the phase 2 of our sewers. I think phase 2 of our sewers, we had overruns of something like $800,000. I'm just in general, and exceptions are possible, but I am a believer that you outsource these types of projects. I think it's potentially high risk to the borough. One, from a cost standpoint, cost management of this kind of demolition activity on especially a structure of this size. My personal preference would be to say, hey, everybody bid on this, and whoever can do this job most cost effectively should give us the best price, because that maximizes their profit. Possibly overly simplistic. I haven't had a chance to question these realtors about these firms about their reasons for why they thought it was disadvantageous for them to do the demolition. But the obvious reaction I have is, well, if they don't want to do it because they're afraid of managing costs, then it seems a little counterintuitive for me representing you to say, okay, well, give us that risk, give us that cost. So as the mayor mentioned, back in October of 2023, I was very adamant, very clear, listed my reasons why I thought we really should not do the demolition ourselves. Now, clearly, when July came and went and we had no bids, legitimate questions why. I do appreciate that the mayor has followed up with experts to give us some feedback. As I said, I'm going to keep an open mind on this, but personally, I think the lots, from everything I've seen as a resident in town, everything I've seen in talking to realtors, these lots are, if they are clean, if we do the demolition, and if we do the subdivision, and if we do the deed restrictions, on average, they're going to be worth close to $1 million a piece. It could be a little less, could be a little more, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get proceeds close to $4 million after we incur the cost of demolition. I want to say this up front. My whole plan was to kind of outsource this. I thought it was the best interest of the public. I still think it could be, but clearly it didn't work on the first pass. But if we were to go forward with a demolition, I'm just letting everybody know right now, my inclination would be to say, okay, if we can do this and we can do this effectively, and we can protect our residents and manage our own costs. Protecting our residents is important because if we're managing this project through an engineer, there's environmental challenges that you face, and I want to make sure we nail those super clean so our residents are not adversely impacted. But if we go forward with this, I think I'm also inclined then to sell these pristine new lots with no building on them through more traditional real estate channels. I think we could probably gain more selling direct to the public. I think individuals are well positioned to pay the $1 million or more for a lot, conforming lot in the middle of Brindley Avenue. I think if we were selling at that point in a public auction to developers, the likelihood is they're going to look for bidding against one another. They're going to look for something closer to a wholesale price so they can maximize profitability. So don't be surprised, me alone speaking, but if we go forward with the borough demolishing this property, and if I understand how we would do that and how it's safe for our residents and how we can insulate ourselves from the costs, then I'm very likely to sit here and tell you, I don't want to sell it to developers now. Now I want to sell these individual lots, maximize the profit per lot. That's my reaction.
So to clarify two things. Number one, when you say we would sell those lots, are you saying that we would just put those up for a price and have an auction similar to what we did for the last auction?
No, the auction makes a lot of sense to me if we were selling the lots subdivided and deed restricted, but selling them in their entirety to a developer.
Right.
But now if we go through the effort of demolishing the building and subdividing and deed restricting these lots, now we have 4 prime pieces of real estate in the center of Bradley Beach. And we've seen houses purchased for over $1 million and have the houses raised.
Right, but maybe I'm not being clear with my question.
Okay,
I'm trying to get, what's the mechanism to sell those 4 lots?
I would think, I haven't explored this because we're just getting information now, but I would think something closer to assigning it to a realtor and.
Okay, no, I got
Sell
you.
it through
Okay,
MLS.
Yeah, okay, gotcha, okay,
Yeah,
that's what I wasn't clear.
I'm sorry, it's whether it's 1 lot, 4 lot, you have to sell them by auction.
Seriously. Can we sell them, but open to the public, not just to developers?
Oh, the last one was open to the public
Right,
as well, yeah.
There aren't too many folks.
The
sitting in this
exact
place.
same way we did it last time is the exact way we have to sell those
Okay.
properties. The only time we don't have to do an auction, with very few other exceptions, with like
So-
giving it to another municipality, is if it's a unimproved property that is non-conforming. So like your classic abandoned right of way, we can divide between the 2 property owners and make the offer and get an appraisal.
Okay,
But
So,
otherwise it has to be auctioned.
so in this case, because it's 4 lots, you could have John Smith and Mary Smith
right.
bid $1 million on 1 lot, and that's it, versus this whole 3.5 million deal.
Correct.
Started.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so before I talk about demo, Council President, you want to talk about demo a little bit? and-
Yeah, I just wanted to add too,
Question, one more clarity on that, I don't know, that's supposed
We're,
to.
it'll be open to the public afterwards.
okay, I just want to add to that as a licensed realtor, I wasn't aware of this auction. And I believe that we need to really advertise it. It has to be out there in the newspapers or some way we have to get the word out that these lots are available. I will say yes, whatever Al said, I agree with him as well. And before that, and that I did speak with the BA and the mayor in Spring Lake. I also spoke with the BA and the mayor of Avon. And what they did, rather than hire an engineer, do we know how much the engineer would cost to manage this?
We had 3 bids, and I think the bid that we were going to accept was 47,000.
Yeah,
And that was
yeah.
an end-to-end they manage the bid for demolition, they manage the environmental, they manage the whole thing.
Well, they had both done this very similar with the church and another building in their boroughs. And they actually had their business administrator handle it. And they said the process was fairly simple. I know we have some asbestos and lead situations, but they said you could hire Envirotech. And then after that, they used let's see, Spring Lake used the Mazza, and then Avon used Lurch. And they even recommended going to Monmouth County and maybe get a price from them for shared services. So they said that the process is relatively simple, and even the VA of Spring Lake said, you know, that he's estimated $50,000, which is pretty correct, would be better off in the taxpayers' pockets rather than our engineers, and this is something that a VA could handle. So I would suggest that we try that route before we start spending any more money on this location.
So,
Thank you.
clear board, please. So when you say Monmouth County, we're saying that Monmouth County has a demolition group?
Yeah, I did speak with the Public Works Director there, John, and he's, yes,
It's who takes it. It's a disposal job. So
right.
Mazis has a disposal, you have to have someplace to take the building when you're done with it. So Monmouth County has a landfill, and I assume they use them to dispose of the debris.
That's what they said. They just give us, they'll give us a checklist and an estimate of what it would cost. So I thought that would be worth visiting as well.
So we would put a bid out for demo.
Yeah, it would,
Bypass
and
management.
also a shared service request to the county of Monmouth.
Well, again, the question with Monmouth is that just for disposal of the debris, or is that to physically knock down the building? I'm not aware that
I
they
believe
have that
that's what we
capability.
have to, inquire with them. I don't know if you had done that yet, if you had the
No.
VA.
I wasn't aware that they had.
Yeah.
I know they have disposal services, but they don't, I'm not sure that they have.
When I
actual
spoke,
demo.
when I spoke with John, it sounded like they did both. Is Meredith on the line? Did she contact anybody? Do we know?
No, not for the demo piece, no.
Okay, so I think that's where we should start, rather than spending another dime, with an engineer. And a lot of times, they give you a price to start with, and sometimes that goes up too. So I think this is something that we should visit. And both Avon and Spring Lake said they would assist us with any questions or any help that we might need. And I think it would save us a lot of money.
But the risk profile goes up somewhat. Somewhat. Would you agree or disagree?
I think it's worth the risk.
Yeah,
I
and,
think we spent enough money on this already.
so Councilman Gubatose, are you in alignment with that? Is it worth the risk?
Well, only because Council President DeNoble brought me up to speed earlier today on her conversations with the other municipalities. I'll turn this back to the Council President, but I left those discussions with a pretty clear understanding that Spring Lake and Avon both suggested there really wasn't a risk. So, Mr. Mayor, I know you just asked if there was. And perhaps some slight risks exist, but at least what the professionals in those two towns told Council President, is that they said, why would you spend that was the number we were estimating, $50,000 on an engineer? There are apparently services, effectively, I don't know them, I can't qualify them, but apparently there are services where very strong professionals can be hired more on an hourly rate, $250 an hour to work with the construction company that's hired. But the point that they made to Council President was you hire a professional entity that does the demolition. They are going to manage it, minimizing any risk, no different than if we were to pursue selling it to an independent entity, and then that independent entity manage the demolition. So that's where I'm I'm being asked to flip my position, and I've been told that the risk is the same, which is nil. I mean, Council President, is that fair or?
That is fair.
What are the facilities that Avon and Spring Lake managed?
One was a church, one was a building. Is that what you're asking?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking in the context of the size of that building,
Oh.
the age of the building.
But the church was very similar. I believe it was a 4-lot subdivision as well. Excuse me. Hold on. What was there? No. But you know, it's a. You can call him anytime.
Ed Bonanno, the.
No, I know, in that church, I think it was, I can't remember what it was. I can visualize the church. It was a brown,
Oh,
shaped church, and it was a fairly small church in it teed up to our 319 Lorraine. The thing that concerns me about 319 Lorraine is it is back in the middle of a neighborhood. It is an extremely big church that's been around for almost 100 years. The intent of having an engineering company was to mitigate risk and ensure that we had no issues for those residents in the area. Now, if we do a bid just by a demo company, are demo companies adept at that? I'm sure that they are. I'm talking to North End Builders in Belmar, who I think originally were teed up to take that property from a realtor in 2019. They said they could make some recommendations on demo also, on demo companies. So if y'all are willing to assume that risk, I don't have a problem in pursuing that, but I'll let Councilwoman Mahoney talk before.
I don't understand, I guess, what it is that CME or the other engineering firms that we would potentially use. The expertise they would have above and beyond a demolition firm that does this regularly.
Yeah, I think it was another, we can share the RFP with you, but the RFP laid out specifically what their responsibilities were gonna be.
What
Was it,
responsibilities?
was it overlapping to a demo company? Sure. But
Right.
again, we were trying to mitigate risk and not have any issues relative to that neighborhood or residents.
I understand it, we are shifting in order to move this process along. We're doing that. Demoing the church is kind of like buying a put for this town.
Just doing what?
It's like buying a put. There could be unlimited downside to this.
Okay.
You don't know how much this is gonna cost us. So we're changing our view to move this along. But I do think that a demo company, I think there's gonna be a lot of overlap between an engineering firm and a demo company. And I think that a demo company, I think if we do some research, that we could pocket that $50,000 that we need, since we're making this sea change, so to speak, to move this along. Then we subdivide the properties. And they're up for grabs for anyone who would like to purchase them. Whether it be a developer or John and Joe Chung.
I wanted to make another comment, but are you?
I am done.
I'm troubled by the fact that the mayor has introduced this element of risk. Are you willing to take on more risk, less risk? We just received these descriptions tonight as we were sitting here of what experts believe. I came to this meeting 100% confident I was going to vote yes for one of the resolutions on the agenda. That's the resolution that says council approves moving forward with subdivision deed restrictions. And by the way, we've been asking for this since last October. It's almost 1 year And almost a month,
What's the,
Because you put-
I'm not understanding, what we're trying to do is move the
I'm
process forward.
speaking, sir, can I finish?
Sure, absolutely.
My concern is we're being put on the spot and you're framing this decision, in my opinion, very improperly. If there's risk, I want to understand what that risk is. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm voting yes or no, and I'm willing to take on that some risk. My understanding from Council President DeNoble is there shouldn't be risk, but I haven't had a chance to talk to these experts. I don't know. I have a list that I got handed tonight, what the experts say. They're not talking about risk in here. They're talking about lower your bid price, deed restrict, subdivide. And back to what I was saying, we've been asking for almost a year, for 11 months, to deed restrict and subdivide. The mayor's calendar didn't say anything about that, all the requests we've made. But now, we're now finally being asked to vote on deed restricting and subdividing, and I guarantee you, I'm gonna vote yes when we get to that tonight. But the second piece of this that we're being asked to vote on tonight, hire an engineer. We're just beginning to explore this. We explored it a little while back. I felt I didn't necessarily think we needed the engineer, but I did think we needed somebody else to do the demolition. Now, I said earlier, and I'll say it again, I'm gonna keep an open mind. I will consider exploring our own demolition. Or, in doing that, hiring a demolition company. But I'm not ready to vote tonight to support hiring an engineer. And that doesn't mean I won't consider doing it next week or, next meeting, if I find out there's somehow some risk to the residents. I'm not gonna put the residents at additional risk. And that is what I'm reacting to right now. I don't like the way this is being framed. If I am comfortable that there's no additional risk to the residents, and that's what other municipalities are telling us, that these demolition companies can do this and you don't need an engineer, I'm good with that, but I need to hear it from experts, from the demolition companies. And right now, this is hitting me tonight.
Okay.
So I need time.
Okay, well, let me, we're talking about history, let's reframe. When we did the RFP for engineering services to do that, we had 3 reviews with 3 engineering companies. I didn't bring those RFPs with me. It was T&M, CME, and RBE, companies we've all dealt with. T&M said specifically they were demoing 2 churches in Camden at the time. And after those reviews, and I know there's a mixed view of that, but the view I had was, and Mr. Fehrenbach had, was that T&M was the preferred engineering company because of their experience and because of the familiarity with the church. If we believe that we can go straight to a bidding process for demo companies and believe that that's a viable approach, I don't have a problem with that. My framing of the risk is that there's always going to be risk in anything you do. If we get a good demo bid out there, and we can certainly talk to Avon and Spring Lake about their demo bid packages and look at what they are. Do I think we're assuming a tremendous amount of risk? No. What I saw the engineering companies doing for us was to just further mitigate that. That might be an assumption that I'm making that's an incorrect assumption. So I don't have a problem with this resolution 2024-170 of authorizing us to develop a bid package for demolition. I have no problem with that at all. Because I think at the end of the day, when we get those packages in, we'll be able to assess, we feel pretty good about this and we move on.
And we can assess, is there any additional risk to our residents, which right now we're not able to assess.
Well, I'm not sure you're gonna get that from, I mean, you can ask those questions of the demo companies, but I'm sure they're gonna have answers to those questions.
Actually, the VA of Avon, Carrie is her name. She's going to pull the file to share with us. And she even said, we do not hire an engineer when we remove buildings, only to build buildings.
Okay.
So she will share that file, and I think that'll be extremely helpful for us.
So, yeah, and I'd be interested in seeing that file too, because I think Carrie I think that was Tim Gallagher on that demo and.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
She had mentioned that Greg Fahrenbach did stop by and looked at the file in December. But we can just take some fresh eyes on that. Good thing.
So. Is there an appetite to alter this 2024-170 into developing a bid package for a demo company and altering this resolution?
I think we'd have to do that at the next meeting. Because we'd have to have the notice for the public, correct?
Greg, is that a material or immaterial change to this resolution? That's all.
No, well, that would be with respect to an ordinance. It's on the agenda, you can act on it, it's a resolution. We told everyone we're talking about.
Yeah, it's not an ordinance, it's a resolution.
Yeah, it's an ordinance,
resolution.
it's not, yeah, it's a resolution.
Yeah, ordinance,
It's not too much of a change.
I think that's for ordinances.
We were gonna.
The issue with not having it on there, right, is for 319 the rate, right? You guys changed topics on me.
It's notice to the public that the notice said,
Authorizing an engineer firm to provide professional environmental and engineering services, bidding assistance and construction administration services for demolition of structures located in 319 Lorraine Avenue.
what we'd like to do is,
You know it?
I
but what we'd like to do
wrote
is,
the other one too.
what we'd like to do is change that from authorizing and hiring of.
To
an
a demo
engineer
company?
To.
You can absolutely do that. The issue is making sure the public knows we're gonna talk about this issue tonight before you like walk something on at the 11th hour.
Okay, great.
I don't think it was a secret that we were talking about this issue. There's 2 resolutions on there.
Mhm.
So you guys can move forward in the way that you discussed and see fit.
Wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Okay, are we aligned on that and we'll take public comments? Public comments.
I'm aligned.
Okay. Public comments, yes. We'll do 10 minutes of public comments.
Just got here first, this is great. Dr. Tom McQuarrie, 610 Brinley Avenue. One of my patients is a demo guy. He owns one of the largest ones in New Jersey. He demoed Asbury Parks before they built the big ocean thing. So they have a huge insurance policy, they have like a $10 million insurance policy. So I can put you in contact with him. He's a great guy. He's in Florida right now, but their company's awesome. So if you need a good demo company, great. Thanks.
There you go.
Wonderful.
Yes, Mr. Schiff.
That's Paul Nishan, 411 Lorraine. We were very careful previously to include preservation of certain valuable assets. I hope that we're gonna do that under this new demolition plan.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been
There's
meeting.
been no mention of that.
Yeah, no, I can take that question, Paul. I've been meeting with Rose O'Connor. She's got 3 viable, very viable, tracks for the artifacts and actually, has one person tracking to take some other artifacts that we didn't identify initially as having value. So, which is great. So,
Lots of other things.
yeah, so, that's tracking and we're gonna make sure that that happens, you know.
Is the organ still gonna be salvaged?
Yes. I could probably release this information that I don't see why not. We've been working with the church's 7 presidents. Their organ was destroyed because of the, you know, the shape of that building, and they're very interested. So that would be a great home for it.
I ask because obviously I consider the demolition of this church a complete tragedy and a loss of an irreplaceable asset. But at the very least, it would be criminal to lose those things that don't need to be lost.
Yeah, no, absolutely, great, yeah. Yes.
My question was just that if you are going to be able to demo it and do the subdividing to 4 lots, similar, and you said we did have to auction it off again. Can we do similar to that and set a minimum price per lot? So if we assume, and I think it's very quick to say that, yes, every lot is
I think you have to.
easily minimum $1 million, because you're right, everybody is tearing down, we know several people tearing down from 1.5 to 1.8 and just turn it down themselves and then put in another 1.5 to $2 million home in its place, so it makes sense, for sure. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Park Penny 216 Brindley. What, is there any occurrence on, if somebody buys a lot, what can be put on that lot? Is it going to be restricted to single family home?
It's an R1 zone, right?
I know it is, but can somebody buy the lot and go to the land use board and get 12 variances?
We're gonna go to the land use board for a pre-approval of 4 conforming lots.
Correct, that's what I wanted to know, and if you, so if you. When is that gonna be done? Should that be done before?
Yeah, no, we're in the process of doing that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park condominiums. I'm assuming this is just the workshop portion. And I want to thank Council President Noble for, as always, doing her research. Because when I saw this, all I could think about was, why would we pay an engineer to destroy something? They are totally correct to use them to build. And then I thought about our professionals, supposed professionals, assuming benefit of the doubt. I believe we still have a QPA under contract. We have an acting BA. We've got a volunteer BA. We have a code department, we have a public works department. And we have our GIF people, and it just makes sense to me that if you go out there and say, we want to demolish, take into account asbestos may or may not be there and its appropriate removal. How much is the disposal, the removal of the debris? How much is the disposal of the debris? And please be nice, not only to the artifacts, but to the animals that live there. I can't imagine that we would spend in excess of $50,000. It just, as always, not being prudent with our money. So thank you. We are not inventing the wheel here. So thank you so much for your efforts and what the relationships are about with your other town.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yes.
This is just for this workshop, it's not for all the items.
Correct.
Hi, Beth Kepler, 504 Central Avenue. I just have a quick question. What is to stop somebody from buying 2 of the lots and then going back to the land use board and asking for variances to combine them to maybe make it so that they can build like a condo or something? Will the deed restrictions preemptively stop that from happening so that it will have to stay? Even if somebody were to buy the 2 lots, they can only build 2 family homes and not go back and get any kind of variances?
Yes, that's the plan.
It's an
I just wanted
excellent
to confirm
question.
that on the record.
Yeah, yes, it's an excellent question, and that's why we wanted to do the subdivision pre-approval. So we could protect the neighbors and the residents of Bradley Beach. So it will be 4 lots and it'll be deeded as 4 lots and not to be combined.
Single family homes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I just wanted
Conforming lots. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent question.
Okay, no other questions? Yes.
Thomas J. Cohen, 643rd Avenue. I'm just kind of surprised that I'm not on this feedback page. I paid the money to get the package. No one called me, for my opinion. I don't know why. I'm a licensed realtor. Built houses and done subdivisions in this town. But yet no one called me, but they called these other folks. So I don't know what that's about, but I'll be happy to share my feedback right now. Because the reason I picked up the package, I presented it to a number of people. The reason was no one was interested is because of the time value of money. If you did the subdivision, like we talked about in October of 2023, then it would have been clear cut. A demolition permit could have been taken the next day, the building could have been taken down. And then the developer could then go to the land use board for a 10-minute final subdivision meeting. Because the preliminary subdivision which you are now gonna do, I hope. Is contingent upon the building being removed. Okay, so that being said, the other problem was the additional cost involved, and I'm gonna make a recommendation tonight, and I know maybe my feedback is not. But I would request that you do another resolution to have CME Engineering do the grading plan. The grading plan should be required for the subdivision. There are substantial topography differentials on the property. And if we're really gonna protect the residents around there, we need to make sure that the grades all work. And those grades should be confirmed in the subdivision. And that would be reflected going forward. So there is a substantial retaining wall there, but it doesn't match on the Madison side. So the grade could be adjusted there. And again, we're here to mitigate potential conflicts, and we don't want a conflict. So I would recommend that you do that and have that prepared before you go to the land use board for the subdivision. But I would compliment you on going to the land use board for the preliminary major site plan. It's a shame it didn't happen last November. I still can't figure that out. But that's my feedback, and hopefully you would have a marketable product with the approval, save the time value of money of the 3.5, 3.8, whatever the bid is. They can get to it right away. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have two people for Zoom.
Okay, Zoom,
Mia?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Hang on,
can-
Mia.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
This is Mia Mullen. Can I go? Oh, sorry.
That's all right, it's my fault.
Sorry, man.
I quiet.
Burlington, just real quick, it's been almost 2 years since the residents overwhelmingly voted to sell the church. And I'm looking at this and right now, we're all the way back to the beginning, where we started. I just ask that the mayor and council actually work together and just agree on a course of action and approve it as quickly as possible. Thank you.
thank you. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Hi, Brigitte McGuire, 610 Brinley Ave. I just want to remind everybody, no one voted to sell the church. The referendum was on $10 million to sell, not even to sell the church, $10 million to spend on the church. So I want to remind everybody of that. I also would like to remind everyone that in the beginning of this year, when we had a business administrator who attended, we were discussing RFPs that the mayor and the BA kept mentioning about this property. No one knew what they were talking about. And we came up here and questioned time after time. What RFPs are you talking about? What RFPs are you talking about? We'll get you that information. We'll get you that information. Came back up. What RFPs? Do we have any information? Nope, we don't have the information. 14 weeks ago, which was before summer, there was a lot of talk on social media. I actually commented and said, could Mayor Fox be also stalling to try to hold this for the campaign season again? I hope not. We need to come back together. It was the biggest poison he threw into the community. I wrote that 14 weeks ago. That is exactly where we are. We're in campaign season. We have a candidate who just came up and mentioned that we had a referendum for selling the church. That never existed. That wasn't even something that existed. So I needed that on public record. That is not accurate. We need the facts straight. We could have had this subdivided last year. It was held for poisoning this election once again. Thank you.
Okay, Zoom,
Mia?
Yeah.
Hi, okay, go ahead.
Hi, Mia Mullen, 302 4th Avenue. I may be ahead of ourselves, but when we get the sale, say it's $4 million, does that go into the budget for the year that it's sold, or is this something that's spread out over time? I'm just curious, like, we're all excited about finally selling this thing. Of course, we're gonna have a cost for selling it, the demolition, things that have been discussed tonight. But whatever we net at the end, hopefully it's in excess of $3 million. Does that go into the budget for that year? I don't know why the mayor looks so confused by my question. I'm just, a curious resident.
No, what confused me was the $3 million number that you mentioned. We have about $2 million sunk into this site. So if we do sell this site for 4, we still have to fund the demo. So, whatever that comes out to be, it's not gonna be $3 million.
Okay, and I might not know all the back on what the expense.
But to your question about what happens to the funds would be put in abeyance, and we probably apply it to the capital improvement funds going forward.
That just might be my lack of knowledge on accounting, but whatever we make profit out of the sale, I guess in simplest terms, the answer is that it doesn't necessarily go right into the budget for that year, that specific year, where it would skew things. I just, because I think that's what residents think. They're like, oh, we're gonna sell this and, it's gonna help our taxes, but is it gonna help for just the 1 year, or is it spread over time?
It won't help us for 1 year, and it is spread over time, yes.
Okay.
An excellent question, actually, Mia, and I did ask that of the BA of Spring Lake, and he said that they used the money and they dedicated it to improvements throughout the borough. So he suggested we do the same, and the mayor just said the same idea as well, so we're in
So it's
agreement.
not like you can replenish our depleting surplus that we had, the $2 million, which is now down to, less than $1 million over the last couple of years. That's been supplementing our tax increases. It's not like you can put the money back into that, into our surplus.
It would be used for improvements.
You can, but again, we have to make that determination.
Yeah.
Whenever we net the money out.
Okay, just wondering how we're gonna dig out of the hole that we're in. If this helps or not. I guess I can't get overly excited, except in the long run, we do get the tax revenue, which hopefully helps in that respect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. Are there any others?
Anybody else?
There's a hand up there in the middle.
No, I think that,
Oh.
no, I don't see anybody else.
All right, we'll vote on those resolutions. We get to individual resolutions, and hopefully by then we'll have the same complete. So we'll close the public comments, and we will move to approving the minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes of August 28th.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
No.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes. Councilman Weber back. Mr. Gubatese?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes,
Okay, I'm just waiting for.
I'm trying to answer slow.
Okay.
Thank you, Barbara Kenny, for that reminder. There she go, but Kevin, I'm saying. What are you saying? With John, yes. Get back to work here.
So how about the weather, everybody?
It was lovely today. It was definitely a 9/11.
Hey,
day.
while we're waiting, I revised the resolution for
Oh.
for moving forward, so if you guys want to.
Actually,
So
we'll vote on
before
those two
John goes back in the room?
resolutions while we're waiting for,
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
Did you want to make a motion to move them up?
yeah. we can
Okay.
do that.
That's my good idea.
So resolution, let's start with resolution 2024-17.
We need John. Oh.
No, you can't go.
What about?
My notion is you could do my exercise without John.
And we should have public comment though. shouldn't
On
we?
agenda items?
Oh, yeah, you're right, great.
Okay.
Well, you can start that too, that works.
All right, we'll wait for John.
Let's approve those minutes.
Yeah, let's prove it.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah, we get that done.
Where did he go?
Do you go across the street to have a beer?
Makes me feel good as the lawyer that he really recused himself. Very.
Say he might be in the other room.
He's coming.
Thank you,
Okay. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Everybody's smiling.
You feel like you went really far away?
We didn't know where you went. Excellent that you went far away, so you weren't in shot, so we're admiring that.
Councilman Weber, you're the last one. I need approval of minutes.
Approval of minutes for 28th.
Right into
You
it.
guys went in front of me, I'll say yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, public comments and questions pertaining to 9/11 agenda items only, 5-minute limit. Thank you. Any questions on agenda? Yes.
From that Cutler, 504 Central Avenue, I'm providing, this, so I'm gonna read it, into the minutes. I'd like to be providing them. Can I provide that?
One of each, Beth, or?
Yeah, there's 2 pages.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Want me to start, Mary?
Yeah, you-
Today I stand before you, this borough's legislative body, to discuss a critical matter that is fundamental to the prosperity and harmony of our beloved community, the enforcement of borough codes and ordinances. These regulations are not merely bureaucratic, they are the bedrock of fairness and equity in our society. Mayor Fox's tenure included his proposal to limit public speaking time at meetings. He supported the state gutting the decade-old Oprah law by attempting to pass a proclamation in support of Bill 2930. And when elected in 2021, one of his first
Ms. Kepler, I'm sorry.
was regarding code
Ms. Kepler,
45049.
could I ask you a question? How does this, how
Yes,
does this
it's
pertain to the
regarding code
agenda?
45049. It's at the top of the paper.
But.
It's
Code
on the
450
agenda, resolution
172.
2024-172 with regard to code 45049. Mayor Fox's tenure included his proposal to limit speaking at time of meetings and supported the state gutting the decade-old Oprah law by attempting to pass a proclamation in support of Bill 2930. And when elected in 2021, one of his first proposed ordinances, 2021-14, amended our borough code 45049, aimed to limit political signs, which was in violation of the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment right to freedom of speech and expression. All of these limit the transparency and the accountability we demand from our government. Current mayoral candidate and chairman of the planning board appointed by Mayor Larry Fox is on record in the land use board meeting minutes dated July 22nd, 2021 as follows. Chairman William Shook makes a motion to move ordinance 2021-14 to council, finding it is consistent with the master plan of the borough of Bradley Beach. It's also notable importance to this discussion. Mr. Shook, as a private resident, spoke vociferously at council meetings in support of the aforementioned positions held and actions taken by Mayor Fox. Our borough laws are designed to ensure that every resident, regardless of their background or circumstances, enjoys the same rights and protections. They are the rules that govern our shared spaces for safety or quality of life. When we enforce these ordinances, we are upholding the principle that everyone is equal under the law. This is a cornerstone of our democracy and a testament to our commitment to justice. Consider the impact of these regulations on our daily lives. Zoning laws prevent chaos of unchecked development, ensuring that our town remains safe and livable. Building codes guarantee our homes and public buildings are constructed to standards that protect us from harm. Health and safety regulations ensure our food, water, and environment is clean and safe. By enforcing these codes, we protect the most vulnerable among us and create a community where everyone can thrive. Moreover, the enforcement of ordinance fosters a sense of trust and cooperation among residents. When people see that laws are applied fairly and consistently, they are more likely to respect them and feel that a sense of belonging and responsibility towards their community. This mutual respect is the glue that holds us together, allowing us to work collectively towards common goals. The equal and consistent enforcement of borough ordinances and codes is not just a legal necessity, it's a moral imperative. It's about ensuring our community remains a place where fairness and equity are not just ideals, but realities. Let us all commit to supporting and upholding these regulations, for in doing so, we honor the principles of justice and equality that define us as a community. Allowing unenforceable borough ordinances and codes to remain on our books, especially when they conflict with state and/or federal laws, poses several significant risks. Legal confusion and uncertainty, litigation risks, erosion of trust, administrative burden, economic impact, inconsistent enforcement. It is crucial to our borough to review and uphold our ordinances and codes to ensure that they are enforceable and in harmony with state and federal laws. This proactive approach will help maintain legal clarity, public trust, and stable environment for residents and businesses alike. It's imperative our local laws are legitimately legally sound, enforceable, and not in conflict with state or federal laws which supersede them. Ensuring this will help maintain the integrity of our governance and will serve to protect the rights and responsibilities of our community members. In conclusion, I'm asking Councilman Al Gubitosi, current mayoral candidate, if you are elected mayor of this town, will you commit to a thorough review of our borough ordinances and codes? I believe a comprehensive review will not only serve to enhance the effectiveness of our local government, but also rebuild trust, help this community begin to heal from the past 4 years, and instill transparency for the residents of Bradley Beach. Thank you for considering this important matter, and I look forward to your response and hope to see positive changes in our community if you are elected our mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just two,
Here's a question pending for Councilman Gubitosi.
okay, and I have a comment relative to your.
I'm not interested in your comment.
Well, you're gonna have to be interested in it because we're gonna hear it.
You
Well,
can still do
it's
that.
fine.
I'm not interested.
The first thing is the Oprah law that you talked to. I'm not the one who put the Oprah.
When you were absent, you put forth
No, I'm sorry.
that you wanted to support. You were not here that night, and the council rewrote, and he wrote our own.
Ms. Capel, I didn't put that on the agenda, so I just put it on the record. I did not put that on the agenda. I did not put that on the agenda, number one. Number two, the political signs comment that you're making. That sign ordinance was led by Councilman Weber in 2021, not myself.
But you as mayor are in charge of the codes, and if you review, what I cited was the meeting dated July 22nd, 2021. You were involved in the ordinance, and once it was open to parsing and language was allowed to be tweaked, there was an opportunity
Right.
for that to be addressed.
Correct,
And if
but
there's, you are the highest.
But you're implying that I aimed at
Oh, I'm
targeting
not
the
implying, I'm
signs.
saying it
No,
directly.
it didn't happen, so I'm just saying. that-
Okay, well, I'll
Put that on
play
the
the
record,
video and I'll
please.
post
Thank
it
you.
to support
Please
my
do.
position.
Thank you.
I'm still waiting to hear what Mr. Gubitosi's question, answer to my question is.
It's not a problem. So Ms. Kevler, number one, I applaud your passion and thank you for your comments. I read ahead so I could kind of see where you were going, and I saw that you were gonna ask me this question, and I had a second or two to propose an answer.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay. My answer is I'm not gonna use this dais to do any sort of campaign promises. That's just not appropriate, not fair to other folks who are campaigning. I can say that we as a council, and I'm sure in the councils in the future, we're all committed to reviewing our ordinances and making sure that they are current. I know they're not far from perfect, and I know there's a lot of work to be done, but again, as a part of this council in general, I think we're all gonna keep working to make our ordinances better. That's all I can really tell you at this point.
That's what I needed to hear, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're not wrong.
Yes.
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue, here to comment on resolution 2024-172. This relates to a property that I am an owner of, 401 Main Street. I'm here because I'm a rule follower, and I just like.
You're a what follower? I'm sorry.
I'm a rule follower.
A rule follower.
Yeah, and that's unusual in this day and age. I am, and I'm distressed by the fact that the code office stopped by the business where Andrea Perez and Hansel Batiste are the owners of Patchville Four. And on a busy morning, they were told that they had to remove their sandwich board sign. And no warning, no nothing. I got a phone call, TJ, why do we have to take the sign down? And I read the ordinance and quite frankly, I couldn't figure it out. But it does say that, you know, there has to be a zoning approval. So that morning I went and took pictures of every other sandwich board sign, which apparently didn't get the same one. Now I attend every meeting and clearly they didn't get resolutions either. So my question there is, why was I singled out?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna give you the list, so the code officer, I'll do some of his work for him. There's pictures included. When the ordinance was written, we assumed that if the sign met the requirements, then it could be there. If it didn't meet the requirements, then the code officer would come. I hate to burden these other 11 businesses with having to come in here, take time with the clerk, take time with the zoning officer, submit their, I mean, I do it all the time, so for me, it's not a big deal for other people. But I like consistency in the ordinance, and I appreciate you to consider the resolution tonight and approve mine, and then look forward to the other 11. But I just don't like being singled out, but it does seem to happen here a lot. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Are you saying the impetus for this resolution is because the code officer came to you?
No, the code officer came to the business.
Came to the
in
business,
morning
though.
while they were operating.
Right,
Told them they had to remove their sandwich board sign, that it was not legal under the ordinance. He didn't leave a warning notice, didn't leave a card, didn't leave anything. They called me in a huff. They were upset that there were people in the restaurant at the time. And it was uncomfortable for them. And I told them, to put the sign up and I'd be happy to pay any fines. That's what I told them. At that point in time, fortunately, I was home. I walked the street. I took all the pictures, which are in front of Mr. Cannon right now with the detailed list of all the other apparent violators, which were not singled out. So that's the impetus for me. I submitted my letter for this resolution that afternoon, that Wednesday afternoon, and I was told by the technical director of the code office that the zoning officer would be in on Thursday to review it. So I was very proactive in terms of.
so you requested this resolution.
I requested this based on what I was told, so
Okay,
I was told, and so here I am.
thank you,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
So Mr. Cannon, a question for you from a legal standpoint, is Mr. Quinn correct that this is a requirement? Like, do all the other owners that use these sandwich board signs have to come forward with resolution, with additional approvals?
I mean, the ordinance says that, each storefront on Main Street is entitled to one sign directly in front of the business, advertising within 10 feet of the front entrance to the business. Sign can't be more than 24 inches wide or 40 inches tall, and it's got to leave a 4-foot wide pathway at all times. If you follow those restrictions, then you're supposed to be able to just, the intention as we pass it here was just be able to put it out. Not to have everyone with every sandwich board sign. There's another section that this request came in under. Now I understand why. I didn't actually know why. Although one thing, it wasn't clear to me from the picture that was attached, was whether it was within 10 feet of the front door or not, because I don't know, it wasn't possible to scale, so I didn't really know when I wrote it up, whether it was 10, maybe it was 10 feet, more than 10 feet, I didn't really know. But in any event, if you want to put it like the Back in Time sign cafe, like the third section is really written for that sign because it's a Main Street business, but it's not fronting on the sidewalk like everybody else. And it says that you can put it on a public property or thoroughfare if there is no reasonable location available directly in front of the business. And then it says it has to be located within 15 feet from the front entrance to the business. But the council has waived those kind of revisions once it gets to that point. So the idea was, I don't know, it's in 10 feet, but if that's within 10 feet of the front of the business for the door, then it really doesn't, it's not really, we're not supposed to have the resolution. But at the same time, if we don't put it on the agenda, like we talked about earlier, then we couldn't give you your resolution tonight, so it's on there, so I'm open, Eric and I prepare everything. So I'm open to, what the council thinks about it. It's your ordinance at the end of the day. My understanding when I wrote it at that time was that it was, if it was in front of the store, you could just put it out, and there's other provisions in here too that you have to take care of it, it can't fall down, you gotta maintain it, things like that, but that's applicable to whether it's a sandwich board sign or your big lit sign in front of your business too, that's generally applicable to everybody. But I'll let you guys talk about it, it's your ordinance.
What was the problem that the code enforcement officer had with the sign? That it was just out there, or did he say it was not 10 feet within the building? Is the code enforcement officer not know the ordinance? Oh, they're not. I was just wondering if there's a citation written.
The ordinance is from 2021, and now it's 2024, and I get a violation.
I just didn't know if there was like a citation written saying it wasn't within 10 feet, and then I say, well, if Mr. Cohen, if the business agrees to move within 10 feet, then if we don't want to do this, he'll just say, we'll move it where it needs to be. I just, I don't know.
It's in a conforming location.
So, I mean, I'm just trying to understand before we vote on this and. It just feels like we had. It was a conforming location.
Yes,
Mr. Cannon, the way you read that, you know, the mayor did reference that Mr. Councilman Weber led the charge on some of the zoning changes to signs. But I was a part of that as well. I recall lengthy dialogue about, you know, positioning these sandwich boards. And you are correct. My memory is the same, that final section was really designated for folks like Back in Time Cafe, which as far as I know, they're the only ones. But to the extent somebody else couldn't position their sign properly, we were giving them this opportunity to get approval by the
That's
council.
my recollection. Like, if you took a string from the door that's 10 feet long, then everyone could do whatever they wanted within their little area. But what we didn't want to have was a competition for the best sandwich board sign spot all over the sidewalk and have them moving around like chess pieces every day. So that was the idea behind it. So it was in that arc, then we really weren't trying to bust people's chops in plain English.
I'm just afraid that if we vote favorably on this, you know, voting in favor of Mr. Cohen's request, we're kind of then putting in place and I'm sure this was Mr. Cohen's intent. We're kind of putting in a requirement then that every other store owner is going to have to come to us with their sandwich board request.
And that's,
Right, but-
if I can, sorry, let me jump in here. I sent an email telling everybody our code enforcement or zoning person is misinterpreting the ordinance. The only part that applies to coming into here is like Greg said, somebody like the Back in Time Cafe that cannot physically put it in front of their business. That's the only time. And I asked that this get removed from the agenda and it wasn't. So now we spent 20 minutes talking about this sign. And when we get to there, I'm gonna make a motion to table this. And so maybe we can stop talking about it, save everybody some time, because this is
Withdraw.
a big waste of time.
John, withdraw.
Well, we're not there yet, so I
No,
can't
I'm
do
saying-
anything.
Okay, so let me make
I'm
sure
okay
my
with
mind's
it,
okay.
but just so you guys know, it's still on there because no one talked, like, I didn't talk to you about this.
No.
So you made a request in writing to us, so, you know, we put it on there so you guys could consider,
Thank you.
you know.
Thank you.
If we don't, then he walks in by resolution and he waits 2 more weeks. So that was that's catch 22 we kind of think.
But the mayor and the administrator got my email and they could have seen the logic and taken it off the agenda. Didn't have.
And talk to code enforcement.
Exactly, because I'm not allowed to talk to code enforcement. So.
Thank
I'm
you,
just
Tim.
doing what I'm instructed, so I'm just following the rules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park condominiums. I know Mr. Cannon will agree that I like Mr. Cohen and I like rules. And
I will
like
agree.
rules, and right, you told me that, Debbie. So it kind of confuses me that, there is a recently hired employee memo. And regarding one of the people on that memo. That's supposedly a part-time employee, it doesn't list the amount of hours. And here it is 9/11, I think we all know what date it is today. And I am well aware that that person was working here at least on July 9th, 2024, if not prior. So to me, we were doing a little catch up, which, you know, for somebody who likes rules and order, says we have a systemic problem in how we run things. Looking for you, I really don't care about the signature signs. But again, with order, I need to touch base because we weren't allowed to speak in the 45 minutes of proclamations. And I'm not gonna judge causes. Not like that's personal. But I will judge the protocols. So I come to these meetings. I do sometimes go to the ladies' room. / men's room. And I do sometimes space out, probably more often than I use the facilities. But I never remember us authorizing the turn of the town's team. So I want to know why and how and who thinks it was appropriate without permission, or who gave the permission that we never discussed to tie these ribbons around him.
Because here's the first in my recollection, so we're bringing it up. And those ribbons have been up for at least 11 days, if not longer. So again, this just underscores for me the lack of rules and protocol and the chaos that is rampant in our town.
Thank you. Okay, there's no other questions on agenda. We'll move to the next item, which is ordinances.
Sorry.
There are no ordinances for introduction or adoption, communications on 2 recent hires. Also, the consent agenda, there are no.
I have a question on the hires.
Yep.
So, these hires, was the money for these hires, were they added to the budget, or how is that being done?
There are some replacements and they're included in the budget.
But I thought the DPW people that we lost, we weren't planning on replacing.
We have not replaced all of them, but we've lost a couple of people, so we have done some replacements.
But I thought that the money that we were saving on DPW, we were going to save by attrition, and now we're hiring somebody back
Saying that we had more attrition than we had budgeted.
when we shift.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other. In the admin system, that's budgeted for as well, it doesn't change the budget.
Yeah, we should have actually done one in June. Everybody, that's my oversight, so that's why I put her on there, just to throw it out there.
But I don't think that, Erica, I don't think that would have changed the budget, because the budget was developed.
Oh, yeah, as far as the budget,
Oh, okay.
anyway, yeah.
I know, I'm not talking.
I'm just saying, that was my oversight,
We're
we were
in the budget.
not doing it over her.
Okay, individual resolutions, we have an amended 2024-170. I ask, Mr. Cannon to read that amended resolution.
Sorry, close the public. I close the Senate area. All right, so this is a resolution authorizing the borough administrator / qualified purchasing agent to advertise for bids for the demolition and disposal of all structures located upon 319 Lorraine Avenue. Whereas the borough of Bradley Beach owns real property together with currently vacant structures thereupon located at 319 Lorraine Avenue, similarly block 41 lot 1. Whereas the mayor and council find it to be the best interest of the borough to demolish all structures upon the property and auction the vacant lands and monetize said public property for the benefit of the taxpayers of the borough. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the borough of Bradley Beach hereby authorizes and direct the borough administrator or qualified purchasing agent to advertise for bids for the demolition and disposal of all structures upon the property in accordance with all applicable laws and regulations. Be it further resolved that certified copies shall be sent to the borough administrator, QPA, CFO, and borough engineer.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve 2024-170 as written by Mr. Cannon.
Second,
Mr. Noble,
yes.
Mr. Gubatese,
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney,
Yes,
Mr. Weber,
Abstain.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. 2024-171, authorizing filling of a development application for a major subdivision and recording of deed restriction as the borough owned property located at 319 Lorraine Avenue. Make a motion to approve 2024-171.
second.
Mr. Noble,
I'd just like to give a brief statement before I vote on this. So people know the history of how this got to be on the agenda this evening. On October 25th, 2023. At the council meeting, the entire council agreed to move forward to get a preliminary approval for the subdivision from the land use board. On October 29th, 2023, after that meeting, Dennis Mayer, the land use chairperson, sent an email stating auctioning off the whole parcel without the town establishing a subdivision first may open an outcome that doesn't meet the best or better results of the town. October 31st, I wrote an email to the mayor requesting a plat to be prepared by CME and an application for a preliminary major subdivision plan to be approved by the land use board. March 12th, 2024, VA Administrator DeMarco sent an email to Borough Attorney Cannon stating Councilman Gubatose requested that the governing body should approve a subdivision plan and have it processed before the land use board prior to the sale. March 19, I wrote to the mayor, we clearly have a disconnect as I requested an appraisal update. This, the 4-lot subdivision was to be presented to the land use board for preliminary approval, and a deed restriction to that effect will be filed. The land use board application for preliminary site plan approval should be submitted immediately. We presented this in October of 2023. Without this format, the Bradley Beach residents and neighbors have no zoning protections. On April 2nd, I wrote the mayor stating that the appraisal of $2,718,100 needs to be updated. In addition, comparable sales need to be from 2023 and 2024, not 2020 and 2021. Also, the proposed subdivision shall be filed with the Bradley Beach Land Use Board for preliminary approval. On September 5th, just last week, I requested the borough attorney to prepare the resolution 2024-171 and add this to the agenda for a vote by the council. There were also other exchanges like these in writing and in verbal, in which the administration was repeatedly asked by the council to expedite this application process to the land use board. Unfortunately, it was not done before the public auction this past July, and we had no bidders. We were selling a promise and not a product. The promise would require a 3.5-month process of going through land use approval for the bidder. Once we acquire the land use board approvals, we will be selling a finished product and work can begin immediately. I'm approving this resolution tonight as it will protect our residents and neighbors. I just wish we could have done this last November, and I'm voting yes.
Thank you. Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Thank you for articulating that, Council President Noble. Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Mayor Fox?
Yes, but I'll make a comment too. That number one, you made a request to Council President to update the survey or the appraisals, which we did do.
Yes.
There's enough stall and delay here to go around. If I look at when we approved moving forward with the demo clean plan in December of 2022, we proceeded to get those steps done. And then from about April, May through that October timeframe, there was kind of radio silence and nothing happened. And there was a lot of work that was done to get to that point. So I think there's enough issues with this whole project to go around. So I take a little bit of exception to your point, but I will vote yes. Okay. We'll now go to, there are no announcements. Oh, I'm sorry, granting, I think there's going to be a motion to withdraw 2024-172. Is somebody going to make that motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to withdraw 2024-172.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
I'd just like to add that after we vote on this, that someone inform code enforcement about this, the policing of this particular ordinance, and I would vote yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a statement. I would like our code enforcement, zoning, whoever. I can't imagine taking an action like this and not occurring to that person that all the other signs around town have not gone through this process. So I hope they can see the error in their ways. I hope it was a simple misreading of the of our ordinance, but I hope that that person, whoever it was, apologizes to the business owners, and I will vote yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Right, we'll follow up 1 second. Okay. Okay, we'll move to mayor and council comments. I can start. I already mentioned this before, but I'll just highlight it once again. I'll just cover the headlines. We did exceed our revenue for beach sales. It's a function of weather. It's a function of the desirability of our beach, and it's a function of the people that work at our beaches, and I applaud all of them for that. This is only the second time, I think, that we exceeded $2 million. The first was the COVID year. So I think we're back on a positive and uptick. So that's great to see. And we continue to show that Bradley Beach is one of the best values destinations in Monmouth County beaches, and our municipal employees, vendors, business owners, and volunteers have made that success possible. On the grant front, I have some very good news, and we're going to do a press release on this tomorrow, but actually I think it might be out today. But this has to do with the Sylvan Lake outfall pipe that we've been working on in conjunction with Avon for the last year and a half. The Borough of Bradley Beach and the Borough of Avon were thrilled to announce the launch of a critical infrastructure project aimed at enhancing the safety and resilience of our shorelines. The Sylvan Lake Flume Repair and Replacement Project, supported by the generous state aid from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, will address our urgent needs and repair and reconstruct this flume at Sylvan Lake, the vital waterway shared by both communities. For those who aren't aware, we had a partial failure and continue to have a partial failure of that flume underneath the dunes, and it's a significant project. The cost could be as high as $4 million. The original view was that we would share that. DEP, we started working with last year. They were not really warm to coming north. They were in the south part of the state doing a tremendous amount of projects down there with dune replenishment and some other projects. But we were able to secure, if the estimated cost is $4 million, which it's somewhere between $3 and $4 million, they're going to fund 75% of the cost. The remaining 25% of the cost will be shared equally by the Borough of Bradley Beach and Avon by the Sea. So that really, this partnership exemplifies a strong commitment both boroughs have had to protecting and preserving our coastal environment for current and future generations. So we anticipated our portion of the out-of-pocket spend on this would be between $1.7 million and $2 million. And now that maximum will be about $500,000 or less. So with that collaboration, and it's a big thanks to T&M Engineering, who are the borough engineers in Avon, who took the lead on this, because Avon took the lead with us on this project. We're going to really save anywhere from $1.2 million to $1.5 million that we could have had to have expended. So it's really good news, and we'll add this to our grant docket, and continue to seek funding to help with these kind of projects. The Agadah Akim 100th anniversary, we had the proclamation on that a little while ago, that the Shoal is planning renovations and continued growth. I mentioned Rabbi Kelman is leaving. Many thanks for his leadership. We very much appreciate it. A couple other quick things. Mayor's Wellness Campaign. We have a walk scheduled on the 20th. We'll get that out in the newsletter and on social media. It's going to be an evening walk, so that should be interesting. The Bradley Food Pantry ribbon cutting was held last Thursday at their new site in Neptune City. That is a temporary site. They have a 1-year lease, but the ribbon cutting was attended by a number of people. When you tour the facility, they've done a superlative job in restoring food security to a number of people. So we take our hats off to them, and appreciate our Neptune City partners who were at the event and are supporting us fully. Last Saturday, we had a local summer event. It was great, and we continue to try to grow that over the next couple of years. Let's see, what else? I think that is all for my comments. So I will turn it over to Council President Spinola.
Great. So on September 4th, the Shade Tree had their meeting. And I attended that, and they had two applications. One was on 2 Main Street. They're removing 12 trees, but the good news is they're replacing with 14 trees. Also on 303 3rd Avenue, again, they're going to remove 1 tree. Good news is they're going to replace it with 4 trees. They also had some ordinance modifications. They went over their 5-year plan. They are having their fall planting event September 28th. If anyone would like to volunteer to help plant some trees. And if you'd like a free tree or sponsor a tree, please visit the website or let me know. Their budget is currently $14,882. The Bradley Beach Tourism had a meeting I attended on Tuesday, September 10th. They went over the summer review, big success. This weekend, from 2 to 8 p.m., Viva Bradley Beach. This is going to be amazing. They have 2 bands. They have a salsa demo. They also have a dance lesson at 3 o'clock. And after that, they have 30-minute social dance time. DJ J will be there. 5 food vendors will be there. And they're also going to have the Mexican dance troupe from the Bradley Beach Elementary School will perform. They rented a dance floor and they're going to have crafts for the children. So it should be a lot of fun. Again, 2 to 8 this Saturday in Riley Park. They also are going to be doing a summer survey. They also discussed their upcoming events in the fall. They had the Bradley Boo, the Mary Market, the tree lighting will be December 1st. And they're talking about doing a jazz festival in February, and their current balance is $68,000. Now, the Board of Ed did not have a meeting, but I did want to mention, I got a text from the superintendent, and he sent this to Chief Arnold as well. If you can't really see it, but it's the police in front of the school and along with Tree of the Month. And he sent this to me with a little message that said, Bradley Beach Elementary School, Bradley Beach Police Department, and the Shade Tree Commission working together. Thanks to the community support to make sure we had a great opening day. So kudos everyone around, and good luck to the students this year. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Councilman Peterson.
Thank you. I'd like to lead with the police report from Detective Lieutenant Browning. Thank you, sir, as I am the liaison to the police department. And the police arrested a juvenile from Asbury Park and linked him to 7 motor vehicle burglaries and thefts in Bradley Beach. The juvenile is also the suspect in several similar burglaries and thefts that occurred in Avon, Ocean Grove, and Asbury Park. The investigation is still ongoing, and several other accomplices have been identified with charges pending with the juvenile court system. An Asbury Park man was arrested for a theft that occurred at the Bradley Beach Library after police identified him utilizing the new law enforcement notification and sharing program, which has been provided free to all New Jersey police agencies. This system enables police to network with surrounding agencies in a modern and real-time way, and enables any officer on the system to provide real-time feedback on crime alerts. Another Asbury Park man was charged with possession of a controlled dangerous substance, cocaine, after police responded to a suspicious person call. The man was additionally charged with possessing open alcohol and had an active contempt of court warrant. Yet another Asbury Park resident was charged with theft of a bicycle and was linked to a previous bicycle theft that occurred last month. Finally, an officer from our K9 unit was deployed to Edentown to assist in the track of a burglary suspect, and police arrested 1 more individual on an active contempt of court warrant. So, Detective Lieutenant, it seems like you were quite busy, you and the rest of the department, after I had no report to give at our last meeting. You more than made up for it this meeting, so thank you. I also just want to congratulate the congregation at Akudath Hakim for reaching their 100-year anniversary and wishing them another 100 years of peace and prosperity. I do want to comment briefly. The mayor did a wonderful job describing remembrances for 9/11 as we all, most of us, if not all of us, remember that day. Many families lost loved ones in the horrible attacks that occurred during 9/11. Still many others, including heroic first responders, have lost their lives since. Many suffering excruciating disabilities and poisoning from their work to rescue victims and in the cleanup aftermath. I'd like to offer this quote in remembrance of these tragic events. And the quote is, "We will remember every rescuer who died in honor. We will remember every family that lives in grief. We will remember." I also want to thank Mayor Fox because I heard through a resident that the borough has agreed to and is currently flying a remembrance 9/11 flag at the beachfront. I believe the flag was raised today, and I'm told that the flag, the borough plans to fly the flag for 5 days. I guess my question, Mr. Mayor, really is, would it be possible for us to extend that flying of that flag through the end of this month? I don't know, is there a reason we could not do that?
I really hadn't contemplated, except that we usually fly it for a week. That's kind of what we've been doing as a practice. So
Well,
The resident requested to the end of the month.
yeah, it's true, the resident who purchased the flag for, I believe for us to fly it, did request longer. I mean, I don't know if there are any, I wasn't aware of any other reasons that would preclude us from flying it, and so, I'd like to make a motion of the council to just ask if we can fly that flag through the end of this month, just in remembrance of this date, September 11th, 2021. So I'd like to make that motion that we keep the flag up through the end of September. Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Noble?
Yes,
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
as someone who is standing under the South Tower when the second plane hit. Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
yes,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I am a liaison for the Sylvan Lake Commission, and I just want to announce, I thought I saw a Sylvan Lake Commission member here, perhaps I'm wrong, but anyway, I believe there is, the next meeting is next Wednesday, September 18th. And as I mentioned in prior council meetings, there's a lot going on there. A lot of good stuff, I think, a lot of planning and organizing around the ultimate dredging of the lake and securing funding to accomplish that dredging. And for people who are going to these meetings and who are familiar with the history of the lake, it's very exciting because it's been 20 years, more or less, that people have been talking about dredging, and we're securing funding. We've got some really elite experts that are working with the commission. I don't know what next week's meeting holds, but the last few meetings have been very exciting. And they welcome attendance. So if anyone else is interested, it's 7 p.m. September 18th here at Borough Hall. I have to comment, my final comment for this evening is a comment about Local 152 and the negotiations. It's difficult to explain to our residents how disenfranchised our council is as it regards Local 152 negotiations. This contract is closing in on 2 years without resolution. The mayor will not allow members of the council to participate in the negotiations as prior mayors have allowed. The council must ultimately approve the negotiated contract, and yet the mayor refuses to let the professionals who represent this council share any meaningful information with the council. We have no understanding of any meaningful information. We have no understanding of the current status of the proposals for the union and for the borough. On August 21st, I personally asked the administration to prepare a brief side-by-side summary of the current proposals for the council's review. You can probably guess how the mayor responded. About a week later, 9 days later, on August 30th, the mayor answered, "The administration will provide information on the proposed contract with the council once negotiations are finalized." I feel that any reasonable council participation could help resolve these negotiations. Given the terrible lack of success by the borough's professionals, why won't Mayor Fox try something new? Why are we continuing to pay our labor attorney fees that will likely exceed whatever the final cost of a negotiated wage increase might be? Nothing the mayor is doing here makes sense. His dictator-like control, coupled with his total ineffectiveness in delivering results, makes no sense. It is a disservice to the borough, our residents, and to our employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman, Mahoney.
Thank you. Let's see, the Environmental Commission met on September 9th. The commission continued to discuss Bradley Beach's participation in Sustainable New Jersey. There will be a beach sweep on October 7th from 9 to 12:30, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Come on out, help us clean the beach. You can sign up by going to cleanoceanaction.org and downloading the waiver. Or you can come to the beach sweep at 9 a.m. at the gazebo and we'll have waivers for you, or you can reach out to me and I can tell you how to do it. The land use board will meet on September 19th. I'll tell you later what happens there. I didn't know what Councilman Guptosi was going to talk about, but I wrote something that I'd like to read. As we move forward with the disposition of the 319 Lorraine Church property, I would be remiss in not mentioning something important to our small borough that as yet remains unresolved. That is the status of local 152 contract. Part of the joy of living in our small borough is the quick response of our police, EMS, and fire. None of that would be possible without our amazing dispatchers. We answer the lines 24/7 and dispatch our police, fire, and EMS to issues larger towns wouldn't have the time for. Burgers on the grill about to catch your house on fire? We'll get someone right there. Ducklings caught in a drain? We'll send someone on dispatch. Having trouble breathing? Someone will be there in 2 seconds. Dog getting attacked? Dispatch will have an officer to help you and your pet. Additionally, we have an amazing DPW who keeps our town neat and tidy and works tirelessly and in the most friendly manner. They keep this place running and looking meticulous. We have a clerical staff who fall under 152, and they too work hard to keep this borough running. Yet for 20 months, they have been working without a contract. 20 months. Our updates from the administration regarding the negotiations are vague at best. Recently, after the most recent update, not including the one that we received at 5 p.m. this evening, Councilman Gubitosi asked a question that I too had wondered and even asked about months before. Could the council be provided with a 2-column summary of the latest proposal for each side, perhaps including the top 5 or 10 issues? And the response from the mayor was, the administration will provide information on the proposed contract with the council once negotiations are finalized. Our update late this afternoon assures us that we are no farther along in the process, and this council does not know why. We don't know what the sticking points are. We don't know what's being offered. We don't know what's being asked for. But what I do know is that this transaction will go down on the list of the failures of this administration. Finally, I live on Lorraine Avenue. I voted not to spend $10 million to renovate the church. Maybe I would have voted to spend $5 million to renovate the church. But I would have never voted to demolish that church. I just want to make it clear, when people keep saying 79 or 78% of the people in this town voted to demolish the church, you have to understand the original question that was asked. If we could go back and do it all over again, maybe we wouldn't be having all of these discussions. I'll see you next time. And yes, please remember September 11th. Give everybody a little bit longer of a hug tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Weber.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna read the first aid report. for the operational period that ended today, the squad responded to 8 day calls and 6 night calls. 8 were for medical, 6 were for fire. There were 2 water rescue requests from the Answers team, and the squad provided medical overwatch for Bradley Beach Community Day. The squad requested no mutual assistance for this operational period, and they fulfilled 100% of their assignments for this period. Of course, they're still looking for volunteers, free training for qualified individuals. Anyone that wants to do this, they can find an application on the borough's website. And they also have applications for the cadet program that's for young people between 16 and 18 years old if they're interested in serving their community. I will add one thing to the shade tree report. They are working on a grant that's going to help the town deal with spotted lantern flies. So that is actually good news. I think that's going in. Don't know if they're going to get it. And then I have a little bit of news that people can use, and it involves the Anchor tax relief. If you got this tax rebate last year, you were automatically pre-filed. You don't have to do anything. But if you have changed your address or your bank account or whatever, you have until September 15th, 4 days from now, to tell the state that your information changed. And what you're going to want to do is go to nj.gov/treasury/taxation, and or you probably just Google, it's faster to Google NJ Anchor tax relief. And the R in the Anchor in that acronym is for renters. Renters can get this tax rebate as well. If you pay property taxes through your rent, you're not going to get as much as a property owner, but if you're a renter, you'll get some. So, and if you didn't get this at all last year, you have until November 30th to apply. So some news you can use, maybe get some of the tax dollars back from the state of New Jersey. And I will make one comment about Local 152. People have said everything, and I just want to thank all the workers for hanging in there all this time. We know we're as frustrated as anybody. The shop steward is here tonight. I don't know if we'll be hearing from him, but thank you all for hanging in there, and hopefully we get through this to the end of this soon. And that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, we'll open it to public comments. Yes.
Nancy Meadow from part-time condominiums. I would like to say, first of all, that I met 2 members of the Shade Tree Commission recently. They were knowledgeable, kind, helpful, professional. It would be nice if the rest of our commissions, departments, and boards have the same type of professionalism. Secondly, I would like to say that for all the people who seem to complain to the mayor that they don't come to these meetings because they're so long, 45 minutes on number 6 might be a good reason to begin with. Saving that. I too support Local 152. I thought that in August, when they were supposed to have a fact-finding mission, my understanding that didn't occur. It'd be helpful to know why that didn't occur.
Oh, it's okay. We're having the news.
In August, there was a fact-finding meeting. I don't think so. They were, a contract was given for them to accept or decline, which they hadn't read, but I am not aware that there was the fact-finding mission. People saying that you can speak after my 5 minutes are up.
I was just trying
No,
to clarify the
because
point.
now
for
I'm
you.
gonna be short, and you know what? I got a list, and I've got things that go back to August 8th.
Well, I just want to make sure you were
Stop.
stating accurate.
I am
information.
speaking accurately.
No, there wasn't. There
I'm
had
not
been.
arguing with you.
Well, you don't have to argue. I'm
I'd
just
like to
stating a
discuss
fact.
the
I'm
meals
sorry.
on wheels issue that I brought up last week. Because when you talk about risk, here we have risk. I opened it, and it appears we do not have a contract and or agreement with Meals on Wheels. Therefore, we don't know the start date of it, we don't know the end date of it, we don't know what we agree to provide and what they agree to do. But we paid over close to $200 in a repair, and I would say, what is our risk? What if our equipment falls on them What if the food is, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but the bottom line is, we have nothing in writing. So, it's somebody's job to get something in writing. Because we are now, as a town, at risk. And again, I don't stand here and dispute or judge whatever these services or nonprofits are. So somebody is letting something fall through the cracks. I was given a phone number and and a website, but again, that's not my job. And again, I'd like to make it really clear that the Bradley Food Pantry does not belong on our website, does not belong in discussion here. They are not part of Bradley Beach. They are not located here. So that needs to change, as I say all the time, along with other things on the website that seem to be missing. I mean, I've said this 3 websites ago. I don't know why transportation is never on there, like we're easy to get to, train schedules, bus schedules, and now the Easy Ride, which helps people who are ill or old get to their doctor's appointment. That's not on there. I would think there's gotta be somebody with all the employees in this town that can get good, accurate, simple information on that website. Very frustrating. And I would like to also say that regarding an article that Mr. Sullivan wrote on August 15th in the CoStar. And the week before, there was a letter to the editor calling him out on his coverage, which is really insulting because if anything, I find that he gives the most positive coverage and accuracy to what he's told. Let's start with this. Your success is not replacing an Ocean Park Avenue. What is your success is that you finally recognized it was on Ocean Park Avenue. And it was mandatory because if not, we could not have storms. Yeah, you improved some beach access, but there are still 4 beaches without a ramp. Pull out the stairs, put in ramps. It's very, you got a circle, well, you won't be here to spend it. I would also like to mention. I did that one already, it's good. So don't go there and say that a young journalist is not treating you fairly, when he clearly does all of your quotes accurately from what you say.
Thank you.
I will abide by that.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Shishia Swinfield, Fourth Avenue. Council President, did you mention Mr. Fahrenbach's name attending, representing us at your event?
Yes, I did.
And when did he, I'm surprised that I heard his name being mentioned to represent us. I thought, all right, I know I can't ask a question, I'm just saying, Oh, okay, thank you. Is he still on the payroll?
No, he's a volunteer resident.
And if he was how long has he been a volunteer?
I think since he left the position.
And how many hours a week is he volunteering?
I don't know, but I know he's part of the 319 Lorraine team. I know he's part of the budget team. I think the negotiating team for the DPW.
And is our acting BA also attending these meetings along with him?
I'm unsure of that.
Can anybody answer that question for me? Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Why, if we have an acting BA, why is it necessary for Mr. Fahrenbach to still be a participant as a volunteer?
Because Mr. Fahrenbach brings tremendous value to this community. That's,
By whose- by whose-
so it's pretty insulting, talking about a resident or taking into this revenue.
insulted.
May I just continue? That if he brings so much to this community, he therefore should be a paid employee, or he should be in this community being a volunteer and speaking just the way we are.
No,
No, why not?
because we have over 100 volunteers in this town that don't attend these meetings.
Yeah, 100 volunteers spending as much time at important meetings the way he is.
How do you know how much time Mr. Fehrenbach spent in here? It's marginal.
Marginal,
Yeah.
attending all these meetings.
Well, what meetings?
Oh, God. Excuse me, you're playing riddles with
I'm
me.
not playing riddles with you. No, I think what you're trying to do is infer that we have a valued resident and volunteer who brings 45 years of experience of municipal government, offers to help with some things, and we're chastising for that.
I'm not chastising, I'm just
Well,
questioning.
you're inferring it. You're certainly inferring
No,
it.
you're assuming that. I am just saying, asking. Why is it so necessary for him to be involved in these meetings when we have an acting DA? Shouldn't she have the qualifications and the authority?
The acting
to-
DA does have the authority and she does have the experience to do it. We have,
Then why is it necessary for him to be there?
I think I answered the question.
No, you avoided the question.
No, I didn't avoid the
I'd
question.
like to just put on the record that I think it's interesting that acting BA Meredith DeMarco has not been at a council meeting since May.
You can put it on the record, but I excuse you from the meetings.
Why? Why? She's a paid employee. And this
She's
is,
not required to be at this meeting.
but how come every other BA has been required?
Well,
And
they
why
weren't
is this-
required. They weren't required.
Well, they were here every week.
Um,
Every time. Mr. Fahrenbach, our volunteer, was here all the time. Why is it different for now? Your silence is deafening. Thank you.
yes,
Good evening, Linda Duffy, 312 Brittany Avenue. I noticed on the website that our proposed budget is presented, and I have, reviewed it. I was wondering if you have given the council permission or access to the CFO yet? For the questions that they have.
there's an adoption meeting on September 25th. The CFO will be there to answer those questions.
Why can't they go beforehand? I'm sure that time will take, we'll be here till 3 in the morning. Because I'm sure everybody else is gonna have questions also. So I don't think it's effective,
We try to keep the agenda very tight.
like this one.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent a lot of wasted time.
Mm.
Also, I'd like to,
I don't think
say-
so. I think we're pretty much on time for the night
Well, I'm glad
against
I'm
our,
glad you're thinking so. Okay, I'd like something else to say.
against the,
I'd like to thank the people that, I think it was, Councilman Gubitosi with the geese fleeters, whatever those guys were doing a great job. I haven't seen geese anywhere. I don't know what happened to them, wherever they went, they could stay. Thank you very much for doing that, because the walkways around the lakes are much more habitable for your feet, I would say. You're not stepping in things anymore. And the other thing is they did a great job at the beach this year. I thought they did a wonderful job, the lifeguards. The, removing those ropes was the right thing to do. People followed the flags and that was great. I really appreciated that, attention given to us. Thank you very much.
thank you. Yes,
Vivian Titus, 605 North Avenue. I'm really glad that we do have volunteers that take an active, that are very active in the town. However, Mr. Mayor, I'm trying to understand the local 152 contract that is now over 20 months. That is a failure on part of the administration that this contract has not been resolved. So my question to you is, and I'm not here to lambast anybody or anything, but we have to try something new. Now, we just had a discussion about Mr. Fahrenbach is a volunteer person, and he's in these high-level meetings on some of the most important projects in town, the church and local 152. If we have 4 duly elected council members and are representatives of the town of Bradley Beach, Why are they not being allowed to participate in these critical conversations with local 152? When they gave a presentation here months ago, they had even implored you to let people get involved. So my question to you, Mr. Mayor, is why are we not having our duly elected officials and not a volunteer? And also I have to say, you know, our labor attorney, 20 months, we the taxpayers are putting the bills for all this. Why can't our duly elected officials, council members, President Inoval, Mr. Gubitosi, Ms. Mahoney, and Mr. Weber participate in the bargaining?
We'll let the process play out and I think we'll be successful.
We're 20 months, that is not successful.
It depends on how you,
Well, 20 months is not successful.
no, it's disappointing, but we.
Well, it
still
is, so
have-
why wouldn't we try something new?
Still.
So it's not working, so why shouldn't we try
I'm
something
not
new?
sure you really say it's not working.
Well, it's 20 months. The union has implored to have better talks. They have asked for the duly elected council members to participate. I would think, that you would, as you said, you're disappointed. Let's get this done. Why not try something new? It's not working, what's going on. Let's remove a volunteer and let's put our duly elected officials in there. Can you please look at me as I'm talking?
Right, as no here, so
So that is my question, is like, let's try something new. Let's put, let's all collaborate, partner, and let's get this done once and for all. Our DPW, our dispatchers, and everyone else in the local are instrumental to the operations of this work town.
absolutely.
So then why are you standing in the way of progress?
I'm not standing in that problem.
Then can you make a commitment to everybody here right now that you will allow our duly elected officials? Mr. Fahrenbach is not an elected official. He is a volunteer. We have duly elected officials. I'm waiting for your answer.
The answer is no.
And why is that?
Because we have a negotiating team, we're working very diligently with the bargaining unit and we hope to have.
And how many months is the contract overdue? Mr. Mayor, how many months is this
You don't answer
contract?
that question.
Well, I would like to hear it from you, sir. How many months is this contract overdue now? So the residents, just so everybody knows, I'm not badgering the mayor. I'm just trying to put something forth new because it's not working. So we have 20 months. I do not want to be called a minion or a shill or anything of that nature. I am just trying, let's not even go down there. Let's please try something new. And again, I'm asking you, why will you not let our duly elected officials participate in this collective bargaining agreement? Is there an underlying reason why you won't? If you are so, and I do believe that you do want to get this done, let's try something new. Why wouldn't we try, if something's not working, you gotta change courses, right? So let the record show that the mayor refuses to let our duly elected officials not participate in the collective bargaining agreement. So our volunteer VA has precedent
They'll
over our duly
participate.
elected officials.
As we conclude, they'll participate in the approval of it.
Well, why wouldn't they be giving information prior to understand what's going
Order,
on?
please. Sure. Thank you.
Anyway, thank you.
Yes.
Beth Kepler, 504 Central Avenue in Bradley Beach. Some of you may know I have a YouTube channel under my name, Beth Kepler, and I like to research. I've been connecting some dots, and I'd like to share some information with the public that I uncovered. As you all know, let's walk down memory lane and connect some dots. In September 27th of 2023, Mr. Fahrenbach tried to explain the missing $17,000 invoice of Maren Ballack, the social media consultant. Do you all remember that? Well, that $17,000 missing invoice for social media consultant Maren Bollock was separated out from the approved bill list. The bill was never reintroduced. And I've asked before, was this bill ever paid? And if so, when? Because as we all know, we do have we changed and had a resolution to lower everything to $4,000 and it has to be approved through the council, which is, by the way, not updated. That passed and it's not been updated on the current code on the system. But the individual billing for the $17,000 is the daughter of ex-Keensburg Borough Attorney John O'Bennett. Kim Humphrey was Keensburg's business administrator prior to becoming the Borough of Bradley Beach's business administrator. And according to Larry Fox at that meeting, Kim Humphrey contracted Maren Bollock to do $17,000 worth of consulting work for the borough. And of interest, Maren Bennett's sister, Bollock's sister, is Megan Bennett Kelly, and she's the Borough of Bradley Beach's bond attorney. And she was discussed in the February 14th, 24 borough meeting. And that makes two daughters of John O'Bennett, Keensburg's ex-borough attorney, and Kim Humphrey hired to do work for the Borough of Bradley Beach. And Resolution 2024-46 was put before the council to pass, and it had a discrepancy of $1.87 million. Larry Fox didn't know the tax rate for borrowing the money, yet he insisted the council had to vote on passing it immediately, or the borough could risk losing out on the opportunity to borrow the funds. None of the three individuals who drafted the resolution, the acting BA Merit Margot, the CFO Ricky Gartz, or the borough bond attorney Megan Bennett, were present to answer the questions from the council. Kim Humphrey and Larry Fox hired Megan Bennett, who is the daughter of John O'Bennett. And let's remember that John O'Bennett and Kim Humphrey worked together in Keensburg. Are you are you following the little dots? So as the increase.
Just a point on
Excuse
John.
me, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
I don't have additional question pending.
No,
I
wanted to add to your comments.
No, I don't hear anything. So John O'Bennett's resume is as follows. He was the practicing licensed attorney in New Jersey. He was the borough attorney for Keensburg in 2014, former municipal attorney for Colts Neck Township, former Monmouth County Republican chairman, served as the Republican State Committee co-president of the New Jersey State Senate, the acting New Jersey State Governor in 2002, former business administrator and public works director of the Borough of Oceanport, the Borough of Lavallette business administrator, and the BA, QPA, and compliance officer for the township of Dover in Morris County, and the business administrator of Woodbridge Township. So bond attorneys do get, like real estate agents, when they write bonds, they get commission on the bonds that they get and get boroughs to commit to. So that $1.87 million was probably quite the windfall for Maren Bennett. And incidentally, coincidentally, guess what? The $17,000
Maren Bennett's
that
not our.
Megan Bennett, I'm sorry, I get the two sisters mixed up. Megan Bennett, the bond attorney, she got a commission for the excess $1.87 million for the bond that you pressured our council into voting for because we might miss out on that blank check. And then, guess what? The $17,000 coincidentally equals the amount of money that you tried to put through payroll, which wouldn't have to come out of the budget general fund. Because you admitted on tape, and I have the video, where you say that Meredith said to put it through, I get them all mixed up. Kim Humphrey said to put it through as payroll. And that amount of money just equally equals the amount of money that Amy Hall says that she was docked in her lawsuit against you.
Thank you.
What a coincidence.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Yeah.
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. Mayor, I'm just distressed by your comments tonight about the 319 Marine property. You said there's plenty of stall and delay to go around. That's your quote. Yeah, do you ever take responsibility? Ever?
I think that does take some responsibility, sir.
No, you're spreading, that's called spreading. Plenty to go around. So, it's time for you to step up, and we've had, the Leonard Guida situation, which you handled poorly, never took responsibility. We had Recycle Gate, which you handled poorly, never took responsibility. We have the budget problem, which you have totally messed up and never take responsibility. So for you to say that tonight about these council people who've been trying to get this subdivision done for a year and now say there's plenty of stolen way to go around. It's simply embarrassing. Does that apply to Mr. Fehrenbach? Because he's working on 319 Lorraine, Local 152 and the budget. Are you blaming him for anything? How about our, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna call her the acting BA. I'm gonna call her the missing BA. Does the missing BA have any responsibility in this? It's really horrible. You need to step up and take responsibility. I do have some good news. The most amazing thing has happened since Leonard Guida left as police chief. It's incredible. I walk around town and I ride my bike around town. And the police cars go by and they wave to me. I can't believe this has never, ever happened. And now it happens, and I want to thank him, Chief Arnold, because, there's a gentleman nature, there's a friendly nature to the town once again, now that the Leonard Guida machine is done. Thank you.
Okay, no other comments, we will.
Somebody on the board.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Mary's iPad, hold on, sorry.
Mary's iPad, go ahead.
It's Mary's iPad speaking to all of you. Mary Backstrom, 218 4th Avenue, Bradley Beach. I'm going to try to keep my comments as concise as possible, but there are several things tonight that have been discussed that continue to deeply concern me as a resident. First of all, and I don't know the details, but if we have targeted one business in town for a sandwich board, that seems really petty. And I hope it's not the truth, because what does it say about our administration sending code officers to one business when we all know there are several businesses in town that have sandwich boards outside on their sidewalks, as they should be allowed to. Secondly, with the 152 contract, just forget Bradley Beach, forget the mayor and the council for a second. If you're thinking about a town of our size, we're not very big. What do you call good? Is 20 months in and we have no contract? Is that good? Is that normal? I would say no, because I've been researching this. And I think Julie Nutatis made a very good point about why not bring the council in? Because what you're doing is taking far too long. That is acceptable. Third, I have this Mr. Fehrenbach, who never seems to go away. He was a temporary BA, I believe, for us, paid, as he should be. Now he's not. He's a, quote, volunteer, not a resident of Bradley Beach, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's part of all these important discussions, and yet he is being unpaid, and yet nobody has seen the details of the budget for this year. So I'm not accusing you or anybody else of anything. It just is plain weird. And yeah, Mr. Marco, you may have given, I don't understand. You won't have Ricky, the CFO, because he doesn't want to meet with the council. So he doesn't want to meet the council, but you have given Meredith DeMarco permission not to attend these meetings, which breaks precedent. So where does your power lie? I mean, come on, this just defies any kind of plausibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a point, the people have the details of the budget. I think you brought that up before, and that's not the case. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Rasheed McGuire, 610 Brindley Ave. I just wanted to make a comment about the budget introduction. I was looking here at the surplus and anticipated for this year we're anticipating another $700,000 to come out of our surplus, which I know you hate saying is a savings account, but I'd like to say that for people who don't understand, because that's how I understood it when I was learning. That's gonna leave our surplus balance at $614,000. And based on a lot of what I've been trying to understand over the last 2 years with the budget, we used to have over $2 million regularly sitting in that surplus. And being that we have had such high tax increases on top of using that money out of the surplus over the last couple of years, that's leaving us with only $614,000 after the fact. This is a huge, you're saying no, Mayor?
Correct.
So what am I looking at on the website, on sheet 39?
We anticipate having about $1.5 million surplus at the end of 2024 in the current budget.
Okay, so it says right here on the introduction of the budget on the website that you put out after it's introduced. Surplus balance December, it says proposed use of current funds surplus in the 2024 budget. Surplus balance December 31st, $1,314,152 and change. Current surplus anticipated in 2024 budget, $700,000. And then surplus balance remaining $614,152 and change.
Right, but
So what does that mean?
the surplus is gonna be partially replenished by lapsed reserves, by delinquent taxes, by current year taxes, by miscellaneous revenues, and other miscellaneous revenue not anticipated. So our CFO is estimating about $1.5 million, $1,466,000.
Okay, so can you explain what this map means here? then?
Up from $1,310,000 in 2023. The sewer utilities, assuming about $1,700,000, and the beach is about $660,000.
Okay, I don't need those numbers. I'm asking though, can you tell me what this chart means? If it's saying surplus balance remaining is going to be 614,000 because we're going to use 700. How are you telling me there's gonna be over $1 million when this is telling me 614?
I'm looking at the analysis that the CFO.
I'm looking at the budget that went up on the website.
Trying to answer your question.
Well, you're not. You're gonna take more time because you
No,
keep
no.
talking. No. I asked a simple question. You're
And I gave
reading
you
other stuff. So this is to make sense. Excuse me, this is a chart you put on the website for the residents to look at. You're making no sense. It's 3 lines of a tiny chart here. And you're telling me a number that doesn't exist in this chart, okay? This goes to show why this council does not get any answers to the questions they have with the money. You could look at me with those evil eyes all you want. But honestly, Mayor, it's over 2 years of this, where we ask questions and you circle talk with numbers that don't make sense. They don't make sense. You're reading your analysis and your charts and everything. Well, where are they? Where are they? You didn't workshop those during the workshop, the budget workshop.
Yeah, we did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so it suddenly doesn't match what you put on the website for us.
The document that the CFO provided back then hasn't significantly changed. It's the same document.
Okay, so if you want to send me an email explaining those charts and how they relate to this little chart, that would be great. Will you be able to do that for me? Can I expect an email with that information?
Then you have fund balance analysis, sure.
And can you show me how it relates to this chart on sheet 39?
She's saying sheet 39.
Sheet 39 in the budget. The proposed use of the current fund surplus in 2024 budget. It's 3 lines. It's a little chart of 3 rows. If you could send me that and explain to me the relation of what you're looking at and how it matches this, I would really appreciate that. And really, if you give me an honest answer that makes sense to me, I'm happy to come back on record and say so. I'm just asking for some honesty. That's it. And also the AFS is not listed.
Yeah.
The AFS is not listed.
Thank you.
Well, when's it gonna be listed? You said it was available. It's not listed.
I think it's been posted.
No, it hasn't. It's not on the website.
What it was.
I believe. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, we will go to, the motion to go to the executive session.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
yes.
Tazi?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yeah.
Mayor Phillips?
Yes.
How you doing?